All right, guys, what up? My hair looks crazy, but we're gonna try to do this as best as we can. Actually, you know what? Because I was wearing a hat earlier. Why don't we do this? All right. Okay. All right. So normally, what I do is I lately I've been leaving the window for my stream relatively bigger as to not show video from YouTube. But this story is too important, and I really don't care because a little bit about myself. I love poker. I played poker for a very long time. I'm not the greatest player, and I'm not going to pretend to be, but I've played for a very long time. The best I did was I was with my buddy Walt, who was an old commodities trader, and we worked at a gold at a precious metals firm together, and helping people with their retirement portfolios and people who had an interest in gold and wanted to know how they were able to acquire gold and silver within their retirement accounts. We would explain the benefits and the all the factors that come into play and the process of how to transfer said monies from the retirement account and create what's called a gold IRA, what the industry calls a gold IRA. And Walt was someone I worked very close with, really good friend of mine. I consider him a friend to this day. I always will, and a mentor as well. He taught me a lot about the business. He's one of the many people that I got to work with. But out of all the people I worked with, I got to say that Walter was someone who really, really um, gave me some gems. I mean, he really did. And it wasn't just that he gave me gems; he encouraged me, and we hung out outside of work. He likes to play poker. We went and played a tournament together, and that was the last tournament I played. This was before COVID, and I was doing okay financially. I played a $550 tournament. It might have been a little bit more than that. It was either 5 or 6. Let's say it was $700. Let's just call it at 700. It might have been more than that actually, but let's call it at 700. It was a 2 day tournament. I didn't even know it was a 2 day tournament. You know, to explain how green I was in regards to tournaments. But I've played tournaments before. I played 1 days, played a couple of 2 days, but this one was a 2 day, and I wasn't aware of it until like maybe a little bit before we went, like a week before. I saw on the commerce that it said 2 day in the column, and I was like, oh, it's a 2 day. So, and I played a shitload of tournaments. Excuse my language. I played a knockout tournament. I played a lot of tournaments that series. This was the last series before COVID. It was the LA Poker Open. Shit. Or was it the Cal State? My name's probably not on Commerce anymore, but long story short, I made it to the table before the final table. You know what I mean? And for some reason that seems to be the point where I struggle the most. I can make it to the table before the final table. I've yet to make it to the final table. So I have my own personal goals. And to be honest with you, in this industry, man, if you don't have backers and you don't have money to burn, it's a tough industry to get good at. You know what I mean? I recommend try to get in as low as you can. If you do $20 tournaments and stuff like that, there's nothing wrong with that. Just to get your beak wet. You know what I'm saying? Because I kind of miss playing, and finances unfortunately kind of took a turn in my personal life. But it is what it is. I digress, but at the same time, I'm able to take the punches along with the I'm able to take the hits along with the hugs. So, it is what it is. But played with my buddy Walt, and he did good, and he had a chip stack, and I felt good because I thought we were both going to make it to the end. Because when I looked over, when you play with your buddies and stuff, I looked over to check on him to make sure and he had a stack. So I'm like, okay, cool, we're good. I was like, of course, this is my friend, so I'm like thinking the most positive I could possibly think. I'm like, we're both gonna make it to the final table, and it's gonna be me and him at the end against each other, and I can't wait to see how good this game is gonna go. Because his friend Dennis, who's also a friend of mine, that dude's a killer in poker. He had won a final table at Commerce Casino. I believe. I believe it was at Commerce. Commerce is my favorite place to play. I love Commerce Casino. I don't mind playing at uh, Hollywood Park. I did well there. I don't mind playing at the bike. The bike I did terribly the first time I went. I did horribly. The second time I didn't do good as well. I struggle at the bike for some reason, but Commerce I play the best. Commerce and Hollywood Park I play the best. Last like I want to say 3 times, 4 times I played at the bike. I didn't play that well. The fifth time I played okay, but this is a challenge for me. I tell myself, okay, I'm going to I'm going to play better. Oh, hold on. I'm bugging y'all. I'm bugging. I didn't even have this plugged in. I had this on my iPad. Let's check to see. I'm I'm over here blabbing away. Let's check to see where we're at with this. We're gonna get into it. And, this is for educational purposes as well as news purposes. Let's see here. Okay, cool. So we got mic volume. Now we have audio coming into the headset. So I've been kind of out of the poker loop for a while now with everything going on in politics, with everything going on in the world. And I came across Doug Polk and Joey Ingram's live stream today, and it was good to see Joey Ingram. And apparently Joey hasn't streamed in 10 months. I didn't know that, but when the Mike Postel shenanigans went down, when that scandal went down, and Veronica had exposed that, I was on Joey's page, YouTube channel every day. I was even watching old live streams. That's how hooked I was because poker is something I'm extremely fond of. So, one of my passions is rap, is hip hop. And so if there's a scandal with that, I'm all about that. So I can't get enough of knowing what's going on with that. Anything you're interested in when you hear about something going on, some kind of scandal, some kind of news, some kind of controversy, sometimes it sucks you in, politics, hip hop, and poker, you know what I'm saying? And I have a lot of loves, but those are some of the loves that I have, especially rap and poker. Politics I have a love for, but it's become a situation where there's so much there's so much misinformation and so much cult scam manipulated style tactics in regards to just outright lies that it's sickening at this point. And it's reached a point where it's gotten to the point where it's the threat of violence is so heightened based upon the level of contempt that has risen to the point where it's at. And my opinion has been perpetuated through social media, such as YouTube. I would have to say is number one. Facebook, Google, and YouTube are one and the same, so I throw them in the mix as well. Um, and Twitter, even before this whole Elon Musk purchase situation. So I blame social media for the state of how dangerous things are in the country, and I really feel like it's by design. Also, because they don't do anything to mitigate and regulate disinformation. They allow fraud to be perpetuated through all social media outlets, and they claim free speech. Well, fraud is against the law. The disinformation, misinformation, or disinformation uh, perpetuated through these means um, are shouldn't just be ethically wrong, shouldn't just be morally wrong, but also should also be criminally wrong. And we have to start convincing the FBI to investigate internet fraud that's perpetuated through the internet. If I write a check and I put the wrong name and the wrong address and my information is incorrect and I turn it into the bank, that's bank fraud. When someone puts false allegations and false um, credentials on the internet, we shouldn't just laugh that off as, oh, these silly kids are just being trolls. No, this is fraud. It's criminal, and it needs to stop. And that's the fight that we're up against in the political world. And that's why I take on these challenges. You probably know, if you follow my channel before, the allegations that I made towards Tyson Fury, which I was unaware of until it came to my attention. And then I looked at the man's history, and I found out there was more than meets the eye to Tyson Fury. Because if you've ever watched this channel before, if you know anything about me, I was somebody that liked Tyson Fury. I liked his style. I liked the way he moved. I liked his technicality. I felt like he was a very technically sound boxer, and to me, the man was just incredible. And I felt like I slept on him before. And I went and back and watched a lot of, because I was like, who's this guy Tyson? There's only one Tyson in me. You know what I'm saying? This guy's a gimmick. He's a joke. He's loud, and this. I just didn't see it then. Then when I went back and started watching his fights and saw that he was going to fight Deontay Wilder, the Bronze Bomber, who I'm a really big fan of, I said, "Oh man, this guy's a threat. This guy's dangerous. This guy's got skills." Come to find out, unfortunately, there was things that were going on with his glove in the first and second fight. The third fight, I didn't really see too many things happening, but there was some weird stuff flopping around with his glove that looked very peculiar to me. And then I traced his history of steroid allegations and found out there was actually some uh some truth to what was being said. So that's a little bit of this channel's history and some of the things we do. We also have music tutorials, things in regards to, sampling techniques with the SP404. I use FL Studio. I've got the Akai Fire right here, which is a highly underrated MIDI controller that I've recently have really gained a lot of respect for again. Really, really underestimated controller. There's some things I could say about it that I can go into, but I just won't do it right now. There are some disappointments I have in regards to Akai. I've bought the MPC Studio. It kept crashing. I couldn't get it to load. The screen got all messed up on me. So there was a lot of problems I was having with that. And with this, one problem I have is there's no updates. And I can't stand a company that makes a product and just doesn't update it for a long time, or won't update it for a long time. That's the problem I have with the Roland SP404. It took them, they never did an update for this particular device, as far as I know. And then when they finally did create a Mach 2 version of this, um, it took them 13 years or something crazy like that. Regardless, it's still a very sought after cult like device that people love. There's a huge following for it, even though it has its limitations. I must say, when I do create beats on it and things do work, when I can get things to actually work for me, the pattern sequencer is notoriously bad and a lot of things about it. But when you work with lemons and you make lemonade, it's actually some great tasting lemonade. So, that's something that, you know, we could talk about at a later date. You know what I'm saying? But, those are some, disappointments I have in regards to Roland and Akai, which um, is, companies that make great products and have a lot of history, but there's things about these companies that are very unfortunate. And at the end of the day, these are businesses that are just trying to get your money. And so, with that being said, understand that unfortunately, that's the number one priority of a lot of people. And when people have that priority, they're willing to do everything and anything they possibly can by any means necessary, including illegalities, in order to profit. And that's the problem with society and us having a civil society. We need to hold these people accountable that do certain things like this. Um, Roland and Akai, not so much, but with them, it'd be you're up to your discretion on whether or not you want to buy or support their products. You know what I'm saying? Um, and how much money you have, and what you're working with. I will say, probably one day I probably will get an MPC, and I probably will buy the Mach 2 version of the SP404, the MK2, and I might even get the Roland Verse Lab. But that's down the road. Let's stick to the topic at hand in regards to this, because this came across today, and I found it to be very interesting, to say the least. Uh, so Bryn Kenney, who's someone that came to my attention from uh, Joey Ingram's channel. I didn't really know too much about the guy. Poker is one of those things that it's a very skewed kind of underbelly world where there's so many people involved and they're so low key and you don't really hear about too many people. Fedor Holtz came to my attention after having a great year. Daniel Negreanu had a phenomenal year when he won the Scoop and he won a high roller and he won the Asia Pacific. Now he's doing bad, unfortunately. I don't know what was going on between him and Polk. They had some kind of beef that they had to settle through playing. Polk, regardless of his politics, really kind of showed his level of skill in regards to, in my opinion, one of the best players to ever do it, Daniel Negreanu. And Polk is someone that I followed his blog for a while. I remember when he won his first $300,000 tournament, I was very happy for him. And he was someone that gave really, really technically sound advice in regards to poker, which is my weak suit. My weak suit isn't the technicality. My strength is my gut and my instincts. That's my strength in regards to poker. And I have a certain play style that I use that has been successful for me, using my instincts. And so when I needed information on the more technical basis, Doug Polk was somebody that I would pick up and listen because I just felt like he knows what he's talking about. I have a lot of respect for his game, and I've seen him come a long way. And when they started having problems, Doug Polk and Daniel Negreanu, I was like, man, it's a shame because these are guys that I respect, and I didn't think that Polk was going to do so well against Negreanu, but it is what it is. And this is why you got to be careful about what you say about certain people because you never know when that's going to come back to bite you. But you know what I'm saying? Negreanu, he's gonna be all right. All he has to do is win $1 million tournament like he did last time, and he'll be in phenomenal shape. The guy's a beast. Only suggestions I would say to Negreanu, and he doesn't have to listen to me. This is somebody that has a way more successful career than I do. Only suggestions I would make is fold more and know when to step away. You know what I mean? Those are the only suggestions I would make. Is know when to give yourself some rest. That's one thing my father taught me when I was struggling with music and shit. Like if I'm writing a song and no matter what I do, it doesn't work out, or if I have a verse and I'm trying to record the verse and I go 6 hours or 12 hours to record one verse and it's not working out, to step away. And it's crazy that he said that because every time I stopped recording and I went to sleep, the next day I would knock out the verse like first take. So there's something about that. So that would be the only advice I'd give to Daniel is take some time with your girl, take some time away, relax, see if somebody will stake you some money to kind of just enjoy time with your girlfriend in the Bahamas or something. Like, it doesn't have to be the Bahamas, whatever. But get some rest, get some re-energizing your battery, enjoy the scenery. What's the point of making all this money if you don't enjoy it? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's with poker, in my opinion, in a perfect world, we play and we play and we keep going up, right? In a perfect world, but that does not happen. Okay, that's not how it works. With anything, you got to take the juice off of the table and drink it. You know what I mean? You got to take some of that money and stash it. You know what I mean? And go enjoy yourself. Go enjoy your life because life is too short. Trust me, I've learned a lot of things. Life is too fucking short. Believe me. So let's talk. Let's talk about this interview. This interview is by PokerNews.com, and the interviewer is Sarah Hennings. And when I read the comments in the interview, they kind of, people kind of went in on her as doing a softball interview. They said to go to Polk's channel, and I can't, I don't necessarily agree with that 100%. I can see what they mean, but I like this. I like what she did in asking questions and letting him talk. Okay, I actually like that approach. So why don't we get into this real quick? Let's see. Bryn Kenney is his name, and it's crazy allegations, man. Apparently, Martin. I'm probably gonna say his name wrong, his last name wrong. I think it's Suleimani. I might be saying that wrong. Excuse me, Martin. Sorry about that. I'd like to interview you, by the way. I don't have any money. This is just a channel where we try to get out the information that we can get out. I'd like to interview you. If you want to reach out to me, my Twitter is MCDraco1. Okay. MCDRACO1, the original, you know what I'm saying, since fucking 95. You know what I mean? It's crazy how all the kids are saying Draco, but that's another story. I'd like to interview you. You know, I mean, here's one thing that's a problem with the story. Okay, he's kind of unprofessional in the way he talks, Martin. So he doesn't really help his case because he talks in a kind of immature way. That's one thing that doesn't help him, in my opinion. You know, unfortunately, in the court of public opinion, this is what people will see, and this is what they'll pick up. Two, let's see, you have that. What was the second? Oh, his involvement with someone who I've watched win the WPT poker title, the World Poker Tour title. Rest in peace, Mike Sexton. Grew up watching that along with the WSOP. First, I started with WSOP, then I gravitated to WPT and started watching them both in conjunction. And apparently, this guy Dennis, his last name will come up. You know what? Why don't we do this? I looked him up earlier. Dennis. Let's see, Dennis. Let's see, Dennis Blyden. Dennis Blyden. Okay. Uh, Former WPT champion, named etched on the cup. Was kind of a great story because this was just an average Joe kind of guy, right? Um, and he was kind of annoying. I didn't really like him in the actual show when he won this tournament. But I like the story of him just being a amateur, quote unquote, amateur poker player, right? Someone who didn't play professionally, but he won the tournament. And the way he did it, he kind of did it. He kind of did a great job. You know, he kind of did a great job, to be honest. So to see that, unfortunately, as time went on, he ran some kind of scheme where he embezzled about $22 million, and one of his horses, basically, is the terminology of a stable of a horse is someone that you give money, that someone that you put a stake in. You know, uh, Dennis was Martin's backer, and Dennis went to jail for embezzling money. He got 6.5 years. This is crazy. I didn't know this, but this is what happened, and he blamed his gambling addiction. And this is something I want to touch on very briefly. Um, in the poker world, a lot of times poker players gravitate to massive gambling problems. They gravitate to different games, right? Because it's about staying exciting and keeping it fresh, right? Keeping it new, right? See a lot of poker players play baccarat. You see a lot of poker players play 21, cash games, high stakes, PLO, right? And so my advice, my strategy is, the way I look at poker is a job, is a career. I don't look at it like it's gambling, right? To me, it's a career, it's a job, it's a sport. That's the way I look at poker. I don't like online play for these reasons that we're discussing now. I don't like it because it opens the door. If you know anything about software, you know anything about technology, there's too much of a temptation to cheat. Okay? One cheating tactic, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I don't know if you guys know this is cheating, but if you're playing poker and you're playing on your own account, right? And say you're in Mexico or Canada, because it's not legal in the United States unless you're in Vegas or New Jersey, I believe. I didn't know this, but no one can play on your account. When you play, it has to be you. If somebody else is playing on your account, that's cheating. And I could see that. I could see that. So let's see. Why don't we stay to our channel? Okay, cool. Just in case anybody comments. I don't think they will, but I could see how that's cheating. Okay. So, I thought to myself, like, damn, people will actually do some scandalous shit like that. And then you have the ultimate bet thing where I believe it was this guy who they caught him cheating because he was one of the owners of the company or a pro or something like that who had a stake in the company or had a relationship with the people, and he was able to see their whole cards. And the way they caught him was they did a graph where they saw how he was winning, and they said it was statistically impossible for him to win the way in which he was winning. So they knew, you know, that he was he was looking at their whole cards. You have that scandal. You have, let's not forget, the Ponzi scheme with Poker Stars, which I don't know how Poker Stars is still a business, where a guy pleaded guilty to embezzling $40 million. You know, Black Friday. This is when, you know, I was playing poker at this time too, but I was unaware that you could put money in these websites. I didn't know. I was naive. I didn't know. I didn't know. Other people found out. I didn't know. If I would have known, I probably would have done it like everybody else did. You know what I mean? Because I was really, really a big fan of poker. I still am. You know what I mean? But this led to a Ponzi scheme, which the guy pled guilty to. So I'm getting to the point where, unfortunately, there's always been some kind of fiasco. You know, I told you about Mike Postel earlier in the conversation. So there's always been some kind of bullshit in this world of poker, unfortunately, and it's sad because it's something that I love. But you have scammers and cheaters and dirtbags. You know, you do. And so we're gonna investigate the Bryn Kenney allegations. This is someone who's been highly regarded as a high stakes poker player and is one of the most winningest poker players of our time right now. So let's get into the interview. I'm kind of talking a lot and going into a lot of things, but I want to touch back on
Wasn't the
Sarah. I didn't watch the whole thing. We're going to go back to the beginning. I want to touch back on Sarah Herring, who I feel did a great job, because when you question somebody, it's good to ask a question and then just chill and let them do the talking. And that's one thing that she did here. You know, this is not she's not a fucking lawyer. I don't even know if she's a reporter. So a lot of you guys are so quick to fucking crucify somebody and judge. You're not seeing the value in what she did. She did a masterful job of asking a question and letting him answer and do the talking. And sometimes when people talk a lot, they hang themselves. Okay? So that's one thing. Another thing she did is she let you know from the very beginning that this is a friend of hers. Now, what you consider a friend is up to you. In my life experience, I'm 39 years old. You know, that friend title can get you in trouble. And what I mean by that is, you know, what you may consider to be a friend may not necessarily they may not necessarily hold you to the same regard. And that's some advice I'd like to, you know, uh, impress upon you guys is be careful who you give that title to. And even if you give them that title, monitor them and see what they're really about and give them a close look, because some people, not all, good friends are hard to find, like the old saying goes. Some people have ulterior motives, and some people have a really good ability of putting on a front to make you think that there's this grandiose, this great person, and you find out in reality that there really ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Based on ambiguous signs that you can kind of pick up on. You know, a lot of people think they're smart. A lot of manipulators think they're smart. They think they have the ability to hide their true nature. And eventually the truth comes to the light. So let's investigate this. You know, he came out and said he was going to, if he gave Doug Polk some kind of threat. We're investigating. We're trying to find out what's going on. You know, unfortunately, regardless of how you feel politically, Donald Trump, for an example, is someone who I believe is a criminal, in my opinion, but uses the legal justice system to to um, cape over his crimes. Right? If you say anything about him, he'll come after you. Right? I believe Donald Trump is a lifelong criminal. He's from New York. He's in the real estate industry. That industry in New York has a history of being ran by numerous different mafia organizations, not just in New York, but across the United States. So, unfortunately, you have these group of people who predominantly are the same ethnicity that run these certain organizations. And if you try to get into these fields, you got to go through them, or it'll be a shame what happens to your. That's a nice house. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. That kind of stuff happens, and we have to speak out against it as civil members of society. And my fear is, going back to the political thing and what's going on, is that they've basically made deviancy and criminality and immorality um popular. And so it's, it's almost a tactic of confirmation bias, but it goes to a deeper level where they're able to tap into the very innate nature of someone being corrupt, and the adolescent brain of of well, because somebody wrote me a police officer wrote me I mean, this is something that some guy actually said on LBC. A police officer wrote me a ticket for drinking, so I know the system is corrupt. That's why I like, and so what they're really telling you is the system's corrupt, so I want my corrupt official to represent me because I'm pissed off at the system. So I want this guy to burn it down. And so don't be mistaken. That was the intentions behind this stuff. And there's a lot of these people that exist. Is Bryn Kenney one of these people? That's what we're trying to find out. So Sarah Herring, that's one thing I will say. She didn't do a perfect job, but I liked how she disclosed this is someone that she knows, who's a friend of hers. Um, and uh, she said that right away, and I like that she asked questions and just stayed quiet. I thought that was really good to do that. It was very smart, regardless of her not being, you know, Diane Sawyer or some shit like that, or Barbara Walters. Obviously, she did a great job of doing that. Let's see here. Okay, here we go.
Crazy spot the poker world has been in for the last.
Okay. So this is Martin. This is the guy who you see his Twitter in the background. This is the guy that came up with the accusations. It started with this gentleman, first name Ali, last name I'm not too sure of, but I guess there was cheating allegations. There's an allegation that Mike the Mouth Mattisau made in regards to a private game that him and Phil Hellmuth played. This guy named Scott something. They're accusing him of cheating. So there's been a lot of cheating allegations. And so Martin, in the midst of these cheating allegations, said, well, since we're in the midst of calling out cheats at Bryn Kenney, and his horses are forced to collude on GG, which is a poker website, a poker app where you can gamble, okay, in satellites. And so remember that, in satellites, okay, in satties. He's talking about satellites. And that's something that was very peculiar when Brian addressed this, or excuse me, I keep calling him Brian. When Brain addressed this, um, it kind of stuck out in my mind. And me being an amateur poker player, I can tell you why it stuck out in my mind, and we'll address that. Okay.
Welcome back to pokernews.com.
Okay,
I
here we
am
go.
Sarah Herring, and
Okay,
I
here we
am
go.
about to welcome Bryn Kenney. I think this is such a crazy spot the poker world has been in for the last week or so, maybe more. And I have to admit, for my own self, I think I was really naive in a lot of spaces.
This interview was done today about 8 hours ago.
I think I really had a lot that I didn't understand about maybe poker, the way the poker scene works.
Likewise, there's a lot of things that I don't know about the poker world. It's grown so much, and the technicalities of it have expanded so much. There's a lot of jargon, a lot of different things that I just don't know. Same here.
The way that the high roller poker world is. But one thing I do for sure know about poker is that whether it's the Twitter space or any media space in general, people can be incredibly cruel. And I guess I wanted to just come out.
That's a good point, and that's the point I basically said in a long-winded way. The cruelty levels have risen to an extreme level, and there seems to be no regard for. I remember when I was a kid, verbal abuse was a real thing, and there seems to be no regard for to respect someone and address someone with decency, right? When you meet them, hello, sir, how you doing? You shake their hand, look them in the eye, and approach them with respect. But now when you do a video, the first comment you get is, "You stupid motherfucker!" What it right away, and it's someone that you don't even know, and they feel like they have that freedom because they're behind a keyboard, and I feel like that has to stop somehow. So I know exactly what she's talking about.
In the beginning of this, and just at least say that this is just kind of a tough spot to be in. This is a tough interview to do. There's a lot of hard things to discuss. And I think probably no matter what, there's going to be a lot of negative feedback. And I also think it's only fair to come out in the beginning and just say that I've been friends with Bryn for about 10 years, probably.
It's crazy how she feel like she has to address this right away. And even though she does the preemptive strike of addressing it, people in the comments still have been just unnecessarily adolescent is the best way I could put it.
And the whole time though that I've been in this poker space, I've encountered lots of weird and dramatic situations and lots of things that came and went, and always at the core of uh, who I am, I really want to be honest, and I want to get to what the truth is, and I hope that Bryn shares those sentiments. I think
that's what we're trying to figure out, what the truth is. That's all we're trying to get to.
that he does. And so we're just going to dig in here, folks. And I know I'm just going to piss some people off, but I'm going to do the best I can here. And I know that Bryn will as well. So let's just welcome on the man of the hour, Bryn Kenney.
Hello, always nice to see you, Sarah. Maybe not the most pleasant circumstances this week, but life gives you what it gives you, and all you can do is manage that and not hope for something different.
I am so with you. And
This is a guy that's a skilled poker player. That's another thing that is tough, because this guy's got skills in playing poker. He really does. Now, whether he has some kind of cheating ability in live games, I don't know. There are people who cheat in live games. I don't know. But this is somebody that, like I said, the first time I heard of this guy was through Joey Ingram's channel, and the title I think was From Zero to 20 Million or something. I mean, or the world's best or the world's most winningest poker, how he mentally deals. And it was this guy, and that's how I first heard of this dude. I never really knew him before, and then when I heard his name and I went back to old episodes of different poker tournaments, I saw that he was at a lot of final tables. So this is a guy that's done that, and I don't know. Does this play a part of the facade, or you be the judge. Does this help his image at being able to scam? We're gonna find out.
I reached out to you last week just to say that I hope that you're okay, because I just think this is I think we all know that once things start getting spiraling out of control, especially in social media, a lot of things can get missed or overlooked, or people come. I've seen it happen lots of times. People come with pitchforks, and we've got to go for someone. Someone's gotta lay on the sword, if you will. But this situation is really unique because
That's true. There's a very fire and brimstone lynch mob mentality on the internet. I do agree with that, but I also agree that there are people who do certain things um, that bring it upon themselves, and I feel like like Jeffrey Epstein, somebody like that. You know what I mean? There's people who do fucked up shit, and universally they're condemned. You know what I mean? So the problem is, it can get kind of brutal out there, and in our society, we're supposed to have a rehabilitation process. It's called, when you go to jail, it's called a correctional facility. It's supposed to help you not make the same mistakes. And unfortunately, we have a society that isn't very forgiving. But then you have criminals who are narcissistic in nature, who will never admit wrongdoing, and that's a problem as well. Those are like Drew, like my man Drew Titan said on his boxing channel. Shout out to Drew Titan. There's people who are criminally sick, and I agree.
It's all evolved. It didn't really start with you, but it feels like this is where the most traction has ended up, is talking about you and your stables and your life. And so here we are. And I think I was trying to decide what would be the best way to sort of dig into all.
Well, they're talking about him because this story is involving him. It's involving somebody that he staked. So the person that he staked is making these allegations. So that's why we're talking about it.
All the things that we need to cover. And I thought for a lot of people who are already, deep in the poker space and in the high roller community, they're already going to understand a lot of what we're talking about. But I think there's a lot of people who.
Shout out to Doug Polk. Shout out to a lot of people. I can't remember his name. Sorry. Not Joey, but there's another dude who also gives a lot of good information on his channel. He does a lot of World Series of Poker events, bracelet events online, and he does the whole hosting. He has a channel now where it's a podcast called Solve the Something. He's addressing this story as well. Shout out to him. He's somebody that I get information from. There's other people that have been talking about this story and have been addressing it and have addressed it prior. So, we'll get into those things in a later episode.
Who are interested or who are paying attention to what's happening, who maybe don't have as clear of an idea of how some things worked. So I wanted to talk to you first of all, just about what it means to have, say, a stable of horses.
So basically, my understanding of it is, you put up the money, right? You have a backer, right? People they call it pieces. Like when I was in poker, you say I got pieces of this, I got pieces of this guy. It means you if it's let's take the main event for the World Series of Poker, $10,000, right? Unless it's gone up, but as far as I know, it was 10,000. I was gonna go play the this event when I was at Commerce. I was playing with this dude and I got the best of him, but he could play though. But I got the best of him, and he was like, "Yo," it was a compliment to me, this guy, because he could have been pissed off that I took a lot of his chips, but he basically was like, "Yo, you should come over to." This is before COVID. He was like, "Yo, you should come over to the World Series. They got this new event. It's $400. Guarantees like it was a crazy guarantee. It was like a million or 1.5 or 2 million. It was a really good guarantee. And I was reading the event and I was like, yo, this is doable. $400. I could do it. Was like it was like a 7-day or a 5-day. This is before COVID. I was looking forward to it, but my job situation, different things. But I thought of maybe somebody finding a backer and saying, hey, look, so when someone has pieces of you, they're backing you. You have a stable, you have horses, they're calling it now. It's like if you have 10 people who you put up the money for their buy-ins, basically. That's all it is. You put up the money for their buy-ins on an agreement of receiving a certain percentage of the take of the winnings. Okay. So that could be 30%, that could be 50%, apparently, maybe more. I don't know. My understanding of it was more in the 30% range. 50%, in my opinion, is very, very, very high, especially when the buy-in is astronomically lower than the actual grand prize. If someone put in 10 grand, right, and they put the whole piece of the buy-in, and you make it and you win the main event, we're talking about $8 million, $6 million of take home, right? Plus taxes and stuff. So let's say 4 million after taxes, right? 2 million to a guy and all he did was give you 10,000. That seems astronomically high. And in my opinion, 500,000 is fair. In my opinion, what I'm saying, he didn't do any of the work. All he did was put in the money. Unless he rails you and gives you like the best fucking advice ever, maybe $1 million. But I feel like 50% is extremely high. And based on if I understand Martin's interview, he was saying, I thought I heard the 50% number for the amount of what Bryn was expecting, and it wasn't a big deal. It was just kind of just in past talk, and that stood out to me as being extremely high, in my opinion.
And what that looks like for people who do have this, where you find these people, how people tend to run their stables, how you ran your stable. I just think this is kind of a mysterious world for a lot of people that maybe we need to start in breaking that down first.
Yeah, perfect. So throughout my whole poker career, I mean, I started playing poker in with friends at 15 years old, and from 18 was really just loved everything about poker and
Same
the
here.
experience. And I started to have success at an early age. And I guess I
Not
really
me.
I like action. I like helping people. So I started throughout my whole poker career, I've backed hundreds, if not 1,000 or over 1,000 people at different times. And usually, and how that works is the backer would put up all of the money for that person to play the events that you agree that they're able to play, and then there would be some type of split based on the winnings of what they made after all investment.
Okay. So that's a part of it too that's very strange right away. That's a red flag for me right away. Why do you want to control what the person's going to play, right? As far as I know, and I haven't done this, but as far as I know, if I plan to play, like for me in particular, I pick my events. I plan to play the 400 event, right? I got 200, you got 200. Okay, cool. I got you when I get first place or whatever the fuck, whatever agreements we come to. But you would want the player to be hyped up about a particular tournament that they were entering. You wouldn't, if a guy doesn't play knockouts, for example, if a guy doesn't play knockouts at all, is not comfortable playing knockout bounty tournaments, you say, hey, play this knockout. Oh, but I want to play this 500. It's 7 days and it's 2.5. No, I want you to play knockout. I want you to play the 750 knockout. You know what I mean? Or you say, I want to play this 5,000 PLO. You know what I'm saying? I cashed. I made it to the final table. I've really been practicing. I've been preparing for this event. I'm really excited. You want the person to be enthusiastic, because the person who's going to win, you want them to feel as happy, as satisfied, and as motivated as possible, because that's going to help you at the end. The confidence level of the player. Confidence does help. And so if you have a guy and you make him play, you know, rush poker or some shit like that, right? And he doesn't, I can't stand rush poker. I can't stand that shit. Or, shorter times. You know what I'm saying? I can't stand that shit. You know what I mean? I'm forgetting the name of where the levels are increased. I forget what they call it, but I don't like playing those. I like playing moderately normal time frames of levels. I don't like when it's I haven't played poker in a while, but I don't like when it's rushed. You know what I mean? I don't like when it's when they increase the time amounts of the which forces your play to play a certain way. You know what I mean? I don't like that. And if that's something you're not accustomed to, then that can be a problem. And if someone who backs you, you go to them, you say, "Hey, I want to play the main event," and they say, "No, I want you to." If you want to play a 10,000, and they say, "No, I want you to play this 25 high roller," that could be problematic. And so that's a little bit of a red flag to me, because that's just something that I didn't imagine in the world. But again, I'm not really someone who plays those level of tournaments like that. So I don't know if that's common, but that seems extremely odd to be the because you're the backer, you're essentially telling the poker player what tournaments to play. That seems very strange to me, because I don't see how your horse is going to be enthusiastic to win that race if it's a tournament in which he had no idea or no motivation behind playing said tournament that you specifically wanted to play. So that's very strange to me that he picks the tournaments for his players instead of allowing the players to pick the tournament. I mean, within reason, right? If a guy says, "Hey, I want to play 100,000 high roller," depending on the level of the player and what he's done before, if you feel comfortable staking him like a Phil Ivey, right? That's someone who I could see people feeling comfortable backing in that kind of level on that kind of level. But if a guy normally plays 5-10, and you know for a fact he made it to third, 3 tables away from the final table, and he walked away with 500,000 or something like that, right? Why would you make him play a 25K or a 50K if he's not used to that? Or why would you make him play a 2,000 if he's already doing $2,000 tournaments and knocking that out on his own and doesn't really need help with that? It just seems kind of odd right away that he says you pick the tournaments of the people. That's strange, because then if you're picking, when you, and this is just jumping the gun, but if you have these horses and you have all these people, what's to stop a person like Bryn Kenney, who has the resources and the money to have about 100 people, in my opinion, which is a lot, enter the World Series in conjunction? They can do things like fold when another player they know is one of Kenny's horses. I just don't like what that does to the game when you do the staking and stuff like that. I feel like having a horse in one tournament, that's enough. If you got 100 people playing the main event, that's cheating to me. And so that right there is a red flag right away.
Were paid to the back room.
So it's actually, I thought it was kind of interesting because for me, when I was very new to the poker community and I didn't actually even know who you were yet, one of the first things that someone said to me about you, you came in with like a very large stack, I think, of cash at the time, and were sort of dishing it out to people in the tournaments going through. And one of the first things anyone ever said to me about you was, oh, he has a lot of guys. He has a lot of action. He runs a large stable, if you will. And this was probably 8 or 10, 10, maybe.
That's a terminology. I have action. He has a lot of action. He has action. That means you got a piece. You got a piece of the you got pieces. Piece, action. These are all, in my opinion, poker terminology, which means you've backed somebody in a tournament and you're gonna receive the reward if said person wins said tournament. This is common kind of shit.
12 years ago, actually, now. And this was my first introduction to that whole world. And so one of the things that I know from lots of high rollers now is that, when people have a stable, it's their business, right? So they choose to run it however they want, and different people do it different ways. But tell me a little bit about how you would choose the people that you would invest in.
It is a business.
And then what that would look like for them, maybe years ago, and then also now. How have you managed this stable?
Well, just like being someone that's like completely entrenched in the poker community, me traveling to tournaments all around the world, you would wind up meeting people that you played with online, or just meeting people live for the first time. And then, like someone told you that it was known that I would have a big stable, other people would know that in the poker community. So sometimes it would be friends of mine at the time that I was backing would recommend another friend of theirs to me. And when I was young, I was really very careless about it all. I just had a lot of money coming to me. I started having a lot of success at an early age, and was really acting careless and putting a lot of people into maybe events that wasn't necessarily a good business decision for me. And then at the same time, you wind up getting in just rough spots with people, because the thing about backing is when someone gets down a lot of money, it's all about their mental composure and their ability to accept what happened and to move forward in a positive or a better way, which is really difficult when everything is crashing down on you, especially at an earlier age when poker was just at the start of its popularity. Someone would be they would win a tournament maybe and get a sensation from that, and they would maybe kind of like a drug, would be hooked on that winning sensation a little bit. So when you go through long periods of losing, it can really crush your morale and get you into that mindset.
That's why I step away. That's why I think it's important to back up, because I understand the idea of playing your way out of it. I get that. But there's times where you have to put it on a pause, not on a stop and never go back. just on a quick pause. That's all. And I think that's something that, especially in poker, you have no choice but to do that. Because what's going to wind up happening is you're going to find yourself at the whims of somebody like a Bryn Kenney.
Of losing and kind of
And here's the thing, we're kind of jumping ahead, but what does he expect in return? Just money? You know, if he's, you gotta understand the mental psyche of a person. A lot of people feel like they've had it worse than you have. And so they'll make you jump through hoops to get to where you want to go because they felt like they had to go through a hell to get to where they had to go. I'll give you an example. Sean Puff Daddy Combs making the band. There's a lot of shit on there that they were doing that I just felt like it was unnecessary. Why am I gonna fucking go? I mean, I know it's television, but why am I gonna go walk or take the bus 20 miles just to get you a slice of cheesecake? You know what I'm saying? Am I your rap artist or am I your intern? Am I your A&R or am I somebody that you believe in my talent that you took an invested interest in because you believe in my talent, you believe the profit is going to come from us selling the product, which is me and the music. But when you do something like that, you basically make it seem like I'm the man and you need me and I can just pull anybody off the street and make them a star. You don't really care about the talent or the music at that point. It dilutes the music, as using music as an analogy. It dilutes the music because then it's like, well, whoever's desperate enough to, and then it's like, well, what else do you want them to do? You get somebody that's so desperate that they're willing to do anything, that now you're their cash cow, or you're their cash cow, and you're like, okay, do a couple backflips, okay, you know, and now you're jumping through these crazy ass hoops, and it could be very belittling and demoralizing.
expecting that happens. So I've went, I mean, there's countless interviews that's me talking about all the times that I went broke, like through my poker career. Um, almost, almost none of those reasons were from me personally playing poker. I kind of have always won throughout my whole career. And it's that like backing, let's call it an addiction even, or action addiction that I had for a while that, plummeted the first multiple big million plus bankrolls that I had.
So if you never lost, then you should always be in the green. There should be a point where if you never lost and you're getting backers, you basically get to a point where you're self-sustaining and you no longer need backers. Okay. But I get the idea of playing with money that's not yours. By the way, there's contracts for a lot of these type of things. So my question would have been, what contracts were set? What terms were negotiated in regards to this? Was it just a shake my hand kind of deal? You know what I'm saying? So that's just kind of peculiar to me because he's claiming he never lost, but yet he found himself in debt. Did you essentially make an agreement to where you would not reimburse said losses if they accumulated to so much? It's very peculiar right here because he just said he never lost. Okay. So if you're making an absolute statement like that you've never lost, then you should have never been in a situation where you owed money, right? And now he's saying, "Oh, I never lost, but it was the backing that I had to pay back." And the see hear what he says: the the addictive nature of the action of people having action in me is what my downfall was. Well, if you're always winning, then the reimbursements towards your backers should have been no problem. So that's very, very, very peculiar. Those are two things already, a couple of things already that are very peculiar in what he's saying.
And I would say throughout those years, in the experience, you learn, you get smarter, you grow. So it turns into doing it with a lot of people and maybe being too careless and not being on top of people so much and their emotions and trying to guide them in the right way.
Okay,
Because
so he's saying backing people. He's saying backing people is how he lost his money. That's what he's saying. He's saying pieces that he would have in people. Well, again, this is where the gambling addiction comes into play, right? There comes a point where you have to fucking say, well, damn, I lent out 3.5 million and got 10% back or nothing or whatever he has to say. So then at some point you got to cut your losses and say, look, I'm not going to back people for a while. But he's taking responsibility and stuff like that. He's talking about backing people. Okay, I get that. You got addicted to having action in people, and that's how you lost money. But you claim to have never lost in a tournament, which I don't know. He's supposed to be a great player, but everybody loses.
Anyone that I'm close to or do business with, I try to, give them the tools or assistance to better their poker game or their life. And as time goes on, you get more and more selective of the people that you do business with, people that are, you want to be surrounded in life by positive people. You want to, have people that are interested in their own personal growth, because poker's a game that's always constantly evolving, and with that mental strain and the strain of also others just knowing your finances and if you're doing well.
Look, I understand, right? I understand. I get it. But there comes a point where it's like, look, it's a business. You're not supposed to be these people's fucking um, guru, right? Like, this is the catch 22 about it, because I find myself wanting to help people, but at the same time, you have to understand when it becomes a detriment to what you're really trying to accomplish, which is profit, right? You don't want to be in a situation where you're trying to be a big brother to all these people, because you're going to run into people who don't fucking want to hear what you got to say and just want your money, right? So you can't be thinking to yourself through this business transaction that, okay, I'm gonna help this person work out and I'm gonna do these other things that, I mean, that might be going a little bit too far. There's perks with businesses, and this guy's supposed to be rich, right? He made somewhere around 55 million is the rumors that he's made in poker. So, you know, but he's not Google, right? He doesn't have an office with a ping pong table, nor should he, right? So like, what I'm getting to is, at what point did it become you're trying to help to the point where it became you're trying to control them? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
There can be a lot of things that come crashing on you when things go poor. And at the same time, I was giving a lot of my energy in the early days of my career, staking just too many people, and I wasn't allowing myself to focus enough on my own personal growth. And as I got older, I realized how important that is to incorporate more balance into your life and more growth, and to give yourself that space to grow. Whereas in the earlier years, I was really just 100% in poker. Everything was me playing poker, me thinking about poker, me traveling for poker, and then throwing on the layer of staking people and really exponentially increasing your variance to something crazy, where we have so much variance just ourselves playing. But then if you're backing 20, 30 people, that's a whole different story of, if you want that to be successful, what you have to put into that.
Okay, so clearly you're getting older, wanting to surround yourself with good people and invest in quality people, and yet we have this Martin Zamani who comes out and makes lots of allegations and was a part of your stable, I think, or you can say that whether he
Yes.
was or not. And so
So he doesn't deny that he had a relationship with this guy.
how did this relationship start? How did it sour? Why do you think he's decided to come out now and make all of these claims?
Well, that relation, so he contacted me, and he had done business with another person that I happened to do business to at the time. That didn't really go well. So
This is Dennis Blyden that he's talking about, and so that's another thing that makes it hard for Martin, because, again, credibility is a factor, right? And so, having someone that this has gone on with, that this guy eventually went to jail and stuff like that. and his demeanor during the interview. These are things that you kind of look at him and say, well, damn, can I trust what this guy is saying? But at the same time, what reason does he have to come out with this story? Because at the end of the day, it makes him look bad too.
The way that he presented himself to me at first was really him being a victim in this whole relationship that he had. And, me being a person that really, I would say that I'm very sensitive and very caring and try to help others who might have had unfortunate scenarios. So he didn't really have any friends that were connected to anyone that I staked, and at that time I might have slipped a little bit and started staking a little more people than I would really like doing, and yeah, so that's the way that I was introduced to him, and then I started.
He felt sorry for him, is basically what he's saying.
Backing him in some tournaments on GG Poker, a few on Party Poker and Poker Stars, a few live events like I would do with other people.
Confirming what Martin has said about those particular websites is the websites that Bryn staked him on. And so there's not really a lot of not really a little divergence in Martin's story in comparison to what Bryn is confirming. Bryn is confirming some of the things that Martin said.
Okay, and so then the transition for a horse for you would be, okay, I put him in a few things.
Yeah, so that's the way that I was introduced to him, and then I started backing him in some tournaments on GG Poker, a few on Party Poker and Poker Stars, a few live events like I would do with other people.
Okay, and so then the transition for a horse for you would be, okay, I put him in a few things, maybe we see how things go. And then, he said he had to go to Mexico, he needed to train with people that you trusted. Is all this kind of standard for how your stable would run? If you bring someone into the fold, then this is what it's going to look like.
Hold on. Let me hear that question one more time. I think she's doing a great job. I really do.
Friends that were connected to anyone that I staked, and at that time I might have slipped a little bit and started staking a little more people than I would really like doing, and yeah, so that's the way that I was introduced to him, and then I started backing him in some tournaments on GG Poker, a few on Party Poker and Poker Stars, a few live events like I would do with other people.
Okay, and so then the transition for a horse for you would be, okay, I put him in a few things, maybe we see how things go. And then, he said he had to go to Mexico, he needed to train with people that you trusted. Is all this kind of standard for how your stable would run? If you bring someone into the fold, then this is what it's going to look like.
Yeah, well, like going to Mexico, that's because, to legally play online, you've got to play outside of the country. So going to Mexico.
We already established that you could play in Nevada and you could play in New Jersey. So that's another red flag. You don't have to necessarily go to Mexico. Now, I don't like that Martin called Mexico a shithole country. There's no need for that kind of talk. If you had a problem with it, you could have negotiated to go to Vegas or something like that. But the problematic thing with this is that, as far as I know, gambling is legal in Vegas and in New Jersey online. Okay. So, states where poker is legal, it already knows where I'm going. New Jersey, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Delaware. So from the time I remember them doing this, they've added more states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Delaware. So this is November 4th, 2019. So the problem I have with this statement is it's kind of a lie. You know what I mean? Because you don't have to. You can pick one of those 5 states. Why did you specifically pick Mexico? And why are you saying you have to gamble in order to gamble online? You got to gamble outside the country, unless there's some kind of money laundering law that you're trying to avoid, unless there's something like that, unless some of the websites like GG and Party Poker only allow within or on the outside perimeter of the United States, which I know for a fact is not true because World Series of Poker website, you can gamble in Vegas, you can gamble in one of the states. So what is he talking about here? That already is kind of so it's already a few things where it's like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense.
So it was like a personal choice of his because he wanted to play in the tournaments that were happening online at the time right then. And at the same time, by me getting wise.
So he's saying there, what he's saying is there's certain tournaments online that he wanted to play specifically that you had to go to Mexico to play those specific tournaments. That's what he's saying.
And smarter along the process, I wasn't really putting in any money or time or energy into people that had no interest to improve their poker game or to improve their life. Martin's a person that, through our conversations, he's someone who told me that he's actually never been happy in life. And someone like me, the way that I am, it makes me feel actually really sad for someone to really say that if that's their truth, because I feel like someone that's so.
My bad, guys.
Like I would do with other people.
Okay, and so then the transition for a horse for you would be, okay, I put him in a few things, maybe we see how things go. And then, he said he had to go to Mexico, he needed to train with people that you trusted. Is all this kind of standard for how your stable would run?
I don't know. Why would he say that it's a shithole country and it sucked going there and that the food was terrible and it made him sick? He's saying Bryn is saying that it's him that won specific tournaments and so had to go to Mexico to play those tournaments. Why would he complain about it if he picked those specific areas, right? Those specific areas. If unless you could play in New Jersey, Nevada, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and the other state. That's another thing that just doesn't add up to me.
If you bring someone into the fold, then this is what it's going to look like.
Yeah, well, like going to Mexico, that's because, to legally play online, you've got to play outside of the country. So going to Mexico was like a personal choice of his because he wanted to play in the tournaments that were happening online at the time right then. And at the same time, by me getting wiser and smarter.
Maybe this was prior to 2019. Maybe this was prior to 2019. Oh, they've added West Virginia as well. Let's see here. Ah, 2013, you could gamble in Nevada online. So again, I mean, it just, I don't know. We'll just leave it like that.
Smarter along the process, I wasn't really putting in any money or time or energy into people that had no interest to improve their poker game or to improve their life. Martin's a person that, through our conversations, he's someone who told me that he's actually never been happy in life. And someone like me, the way that I am, it makes me feel actually really sad for someone to really say that if that's.
So again, he's basically saying, I feel sorry for this guy. Twice he says, I felt sorry for him. Twice he said that. He's saying that you had to play in Mexico based on the tournaments and the time. There was a time where, you couldn't play in the States, but as of 2013, it was legal to play within the United States. So again, these are technicalities. Let's see where this goes.
That's their truth, because I feel like someone that's so fortunate, that's had such a blessed, happy existence, and really something that I pride myself on is trying to bring some happiness or assistance to people that may not have had that same fortunate upbringing and existence that I have. So, recommending someone to eat healthy, or, here's a yoga instructor that, I'm happy to pay for you. Here's a masseuse that I'm happy to pay for you. Here's an expert in this field that, I'll here, this, you should meet this person. And, then it's all up to an adult.
So he's addressing some of the accusations already. Okay. By the little snide comment at the very end, here's a person you should meet, a shaman who really has no credibility. Now, okay, if you say someone's depressed and you're trying to help them with their depression, shrooms I've heard does okay. Do they have to take 9 fucking grams? Do they have to fucking do a toad venom fucking DMT trip? You could smoke the toad venom. Why was it specifically burning incense, cutting the blister, and putting the toad venom directly into their fucking bloodstream? And was it the same toad that is known to have the chemical compound of DMT in its venom sacs? There's a certain particular toad. If you're having just some random ass fucking frog that has poison and they're tripping on poison, that's different than tripping on toad venom, okay? That you could see in Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia. It's a specific toad, it's a specific thing, and they smoke it, okay? They smoke it, and it has a limited effect of like, you know, sometimes within 2 minutes, not even a long period of time, the trip lasts. That's different from this kind of really intense ritual, which is kind of scary based on the way it was described and some of the things that I've seen in regards of it. So, you know, and then touching back on another thing he said was, were these suggestions or were these mandatory? That's where the dilemma lies, because he's basically saying, look, the guy was depressed, I felt sorry for him, we're in business together, so I recommended certain treatments and things like that. What does that have to do with the money aspect of things? You know, if the guy's not going to make you any money and it's too much of a headache, cut him off. Cut him off. Why did you feel the need to have him go through this ritual of of hey man, go meet with this shaman? He basically admitted, he said, he doesn't even say shaman though, but he says certain people, certain experts in the field. Look, dig what he says. Watch what he says.
In a person to make decisions if they were time or energy into people that had no interest to improve their poker game or to improve their life. Martin's a person that, through our conversations, he's someone who told me that he's actually never been happy in life. And someone like me, the way that I am, it makes me feel actually really sad for someone to really say that, if that's their truth, because I feel.
So again, he's painting a picture of this guy was clinically depressed or some shit. This guy, I feel sorry for him. I feel sad for him. He's saying he's never been happy. Basically, he's depressed, is what he's saying. So he's saying the guy came to him, Martin came to him saying he was depressed. And so his solution to the problem was making certain recommendations.
Like someone that's so fortunate, that's had such a blessed, happy existence, and really something that I pride myself on is trying to bring some happiness or assistance to people that may not have had that same fortunate upbringing and existence that I have. So, recommending someone to eat healthy, or, here's a yoga instructor that, I'm happy to pay for you. Here's a masseuse that I'm happy to pay for you. Here's an expert in this field that, you should meet this person. And
there you go. So he just admitted to every single thing that Martin said. What Martin is saying is it was mandatory or else Bryn would retaliate. That's what Martin is saying. So Bryn is not denying any of these things. He's basically spinning it saying he was depressed. He said he needed the help. So I made certain recommendations. I recommended that he eat certain type of food. He's saying recommendations, which is not mandatory. Okay. Martin's saying they're not recommendations because if he didn't follow through with going vegan, doing yoga, and going and doing these rituals, that Bryn would retaliate and make him play $500 tournaments instead of $5,000 tournaments. And he would be on Bryn's shit list. That's the fucking problem. That's the manipulation part of it. Okay, that Martin is basically saying. Now of course people could say, well, he could have left and this and that. When you're in these situations, it's gradual, and you're really in a state of desperation. With any cult or whatever situation, it's always a state of desperation that people are in. And there's predators that will prey upon that state of desperation that you find yourself in. And so that's something that we need to Bradley a little guilty. yo, shout out Bradley, man. Shout out Bradley, man. Thank you for joining, man. We're investigating this situation, man. We're investigating. That's your name, right? Bradley a little guilty. Appreciate you being here. Let me go to your page real quick. My bad. I want to make sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bradley Little. Oh, he's saying guilty. Okay, sorry. What's up, Brad? How you doing, man? Appreciate you being here, Mr. Little. Appreciate that. You think he's guilty, huh? Okay, let's go through it.
And then it's all up to an adult and a person to make decisions if they want to go ahead with meeting this person or doing whatever it is that's being recommended to them.
So he's saying it's just a recommendation. It's up to him on whether or not he wants to follow through. Martin's saying that if he didn't do these things, he was cut off and there was some kind of retaliation. That's what Martin is saying.
And I would say I'm also someone that steers very far away of trying to put, I mean, at least my attempt, I know that I have a strong personality, so sometimes things can come across a different way, but consciously myself, I really try to steer away from putting pressure on anyone of what I feel like that they should do or that they have to do, as opposed to I would try to show them some tools that have helped me to be better, to improve my poker game, to improve my life. And then it's up to them to determine or to decide if those work for them. While at the same time, if you have someone that you're staking that is, losing at the time, continuously being negative, and people close to you are, recommending that you stay far away from this person, I would say that I'm someone who gives people many chances, and I try to see the best in everyone and try to bring out the best in everyone. And sometimes that can be a detriment to me, but at the same time, that's something that I'm happy with of myself and wouldn't want to change anything.
But so obviously,
He's playing super innocent here. I will say that. He's playing super innocent. You know what I mean? He's playing Mr. Innocent in this situation. But I mean, this is the business. You're trying to get profit, right? I mean, that's what the goal is. And you just admitted to everything. You said that you made these recommendations. Now, and then you're also saying that your friends are saying that Martin was no good and he's toxic and this and that. But yet you stayed with it because of your naivete and wanting to help. You know what I'm saying? I mean, were you interested in? So you're saying his negativity and him losing money, right? And that's something we have to verify based on records. We have to go and see what exactly was happening in these games and how they were happening and how much money was lost and if there's any truth, because there's got to be a paper trail, right? So the question is, how can we get the paper trail to find out, was Martin stuck as much as he's saying? And based on, maybe people that know Martin can confirm that Bryn's story of this guy's negative, or are there more people confirming that Bryn is doing some shit that's kind of shady? That's the question here.
things with Martin at some point got pretty salty. And it's interesting because at least I think that what a lot of people in the poker community want to understand, and something that Doug asked that Martin didn't appear to want to disclose, is why is he saying this now? Why is he coming out now? And I think there's some speculation that maybe there was like a blackmail element, or maybe I saw also that he tweeted that it's one of the things he feels great about doing. So I guess I'm wanting to know from your perspective, did you see this kind of thing coming, and what happened between you two that led to this clear rift?
Okay, so she's trying to figure this out. She's doing a good job, but what I will say here is there was allegations with several other people. Okay, all right. There was allegations with a guy named Scott, like I said earlier in the video. There was allegations with Ali. So while they were dealing with all those allegations, Martin came out and tweeted and said, "Well, since we're on this subject, in the midst of exposing cheaters, Bryn's got horses that are playing the same games that are that are scamming people and ripping them off and taking their money." That's when he came out and said it. Okay, that's when he came out and said it in the midst of people being accused of cheating. Okay, because you gotta understand, a part of him probably feels guilty too, and he wants to get that shit off of his chest. So it wasn't like, as far as I know, that it was an ultimatum towards Bryn. Look, you pay me by April 20th, or else I'm coming out and saying anything. And she kind of gave him the blackmail layup. She kind of asked him the question that gave him an out. So I will say that.
Um, so for the way that the business closed with me and him is he was actually in like 350,000 in makeup and was just continuously losing and having a negative attitude. And at the same time, at that point, I think he owed me about somewhere in the 100 to 150,000 on the side from just things apart from the stake.
So he's saying 350,000 plus 150,000. So 300,000 of debt plus 150,000 in expenses. So he's saying he stuck 500,000 on Martin, and that's how much Martin owed him. Okay, that's what he's saying. All right. Now, what I also find interesting is you're going to later hear him say there was a blackmail situation, but she's the one that brought it up. So I find that to be a little bit peculiar that she mentioned that, and that's the first thing he jumped on as the reason why. Now, whether or not Martin says exactly what it is, he says he'd prefer not to say on camera why it is that he came out and said what he said. That he'll talk to Doug maybe about it another time off camera. I don't know, but what she mentioned, a possibility of blackmail, he's saying that's exactly what it is. So that could be either the truth or it could be the first thing that he jumped on.
And he still owes me, and just decided that he wasn't going to pay me for that. So, but another.
Were there any contracts? Were there any contracts? Because as far as my understanding goes, when you stake somebody, there's contracts involved. As far as I know, if your business is correct, that's what you want to do so you can avoid these kind of problems.
Like you're saying about that blackmail element, so on this Mexico trip that he talks about very much, he actually spoke with one of my close friends and told them that he was going to blackmail me. So this is like one of the reasons.
Why would he tell one of your best friends that he was going to blackmail you, knowing that that's one of your best friends and that's going to get to him? That's going to get to you. Why wouldn't he tell you directly what's going on? You know what I mean? Blackmail you for what's there to blackmail you on? So it's lies that he's going to blackmail you. He's going to make up these stories to get out of it. That all this stuff goes on when you confirmed the vegan diet, you confirmed the quote unquote professionals, you confirmed all these things that he said. And now she throws out the blackmail thing, and now you're saying that he told your friend that he was going to blackmail you. Why not just blackmail you? Why tell somebody in advance what was going to happen? I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a lot of shit that he says that's like, what?
why business closed like right after that, because you know I've got here's someone that I'm trying to help and I'm trying to steer in the right path, and he in his mind he wants to find dirt on me to blackmail me and extort me really. And I think that what happened is in the past 1.5 years he's been trying desperately to find any proof of these allegations that he's claiming, which really have no proof at all. I mean, not proof, they have no truth to them at all. Coming out with saying things like me using real-time assistance or me recommending this to my horses to use. I've never looked at real-time assistance in my life.
He never, as far as I know from the interview, he never said that he used real-time assistance. He never said that he used RTA. He talked about a guy named Scott, I think his name was, or Sergey, somebody named Sergey, who showed up, okay, and ghosting and things like that, which is basically somebody telling you in the background what to do and how to play. You know what I'm saying? Which is illegal, or it's not allowed in the poker world. That's what he said. I don't believe he said anything about you specifically using RTA. Okay. Bryn does say, I never looked at it and I never recommended anyone to look at it. Okay, fine. But he's really honing in on himself, which this Sergey character was the one that he claims had the RTA program and everything like that. So let's listen.
I've never used any programs when playing any or at all. I've never seen these programs. I play my own style of poker and I always have. And I think if you were to speak with anyone who's played high stakes with me, they would tell you that clearly I don't have a game or a style that incorporates any of this, while at the same time accusing me of things like having my horses collude in satellites. The real funny thing about that is the names that he's listed, if you actually check up like their stats online, they're all huge losers, like on GG. Like it's not like there's not.
He really has a thing about kicking the people that he invested money in. Martin's depressed and a loser and lost a bunch of money. Everyone that he's talking about that he mentioned, he's lost a bunch of money, lost all this money. So you're really good at picking. What, you're just so kind that you're picking a bunch of losers who don't make any money? And he's so quick to put that out. He's so quick to throw them under the bus. And there's another problem with what he says here.
Money that these guys won, that even you could see these guys are clear big losers. And the one thing to see, I was in the start with GG, helping them to grow their site, to grow their guarantees, to run bigger tournaments. So did I have horses that would start these satellites? Absolutely, but in no way. And it could be, it's so easily verified.
So he admits to having horses in the same game. That's an admission that he had horses in the same game. So again, he's confirming a lot of this shit. He just confirmed almost everything he's saying, but he's twisting it around and making it seem like, oh, you know what? I'm just, it's a matter of circumstance and this and that and the third. And you know what? I was trying to help GG. I was trying to help GG. I was trying to help Martin. I was trying to help these losers. I was trying to help everybody. And I got the shit into the stick. Now here's the problem with satellites. And I'm not the most professional poker player, but the way satellites work, he's saying it's in the beginning. So conveniently, he's saying, oh, it was just a satellite for $1,000, whoop de wop, wop de whoop, right? But if you're playing a satellite, okay, that leads to something bigger 90% of the time, okay? Most satellites are to get into a bigger tournament. So he's claiming that there were no bigger tournaments, these were just satellites, okay? And why would I have a nefarious purpose with something so small, right? This is the picture that he's painting. But in my understanding of satellites, even when it's a small organization, that a satellite, no matter how small, leads to a bigger possibility in a future tournament. For example, there's been satellites where only 9 people enter. right? Whoever gets first or second gets a guaranteed spot of up to $500 in a $500 tournament if they're playing a free roll satellite. Okay, this is known. And so for him to spin it into like, oh, they didn't even have bigger tournaments to enter. It was just a satellite for what, a free $1,000? Who put up the money? The organization. It was just for 1,000. It was a free roll for 1,000. And at the end of the day, it's money. So whether it's 1,000, depending on how greedy this person is, right? And they all lost apparently. So you owe. So they owe. So the money's going directly to you because they owe. So no matter if it was 500 or 1,000 or 50,000, the money was going to you. You know, maybe one guy and real players. Maybe something like that. But all these fucking horses in one satellite game, that just sounds odd. That sounds odd. Like, what's the purpose of that? For practice? So it just his story is not adding up. His story doesn't make sense to me.
By, let's say, the 20 people that I've been doing business with since I started dealing with GG, that there's not a single correspondence of me or an ask or of anything of me asking anyone to do anything wrong in any way. For me, I see myself as the person who loves poker more than anyone in the world. And what I love about poker is its pure form. And I think that poker is meant to be a mind versus mind game, and that's what makes it the best game in the world. And at the same time, I hold myself to my own type of moral standards where I would say I look at myself in the mirror continuously and try to be the best person that I possibly can. So, allegations like me having my horses ghost other players on GG are completely false also. And all of the people that I've staked on GG would all say that actually I've went out of my way to say that it's something that I don't want anyone to do, that I have no interest in staking anyone if it's not going to be them self playing. And I don't care if you're in a huge spot for a lot of money, which I have some friends of mine who I staked for much smaller stakes that wound up playing for huge money, and they played that tournament completely themselves. And it's I would never get involved in any type of business that wasn't clean. And an important thing to remember too is, I've been in the poker spotlight for the past 17 years or so, maybe completely in the poker spotlight for the past 15 years. And through all the people that know and all the people in the community, I would say that if not the most, I'm one of the most respected people in the industry for my word, for following in my word. Also, me being someone that's continuously been on a roller coaster in life, like financially. So there's a lot of people that just had a successful career and have never really been tested. Like, I've been from rich to broke to negative millions, back and forth all over again. And my word, everything has been tested throughout those years. And anyone that I've been in business with that has maybe loaned me money when I wound up in a spot like that, as soon as I got the money, it went directly to them. No one ever had to ask me anything. And that's always been the most important thing to me by far, is my word and operating in the cleanest way possible, because it's something that's so important to me. Like, even in my career, and to say that doing something untold or some type of cheating in these small stake satellites, it's effectively saying that, okay, here I'm gambling for millions of dollars and doing business for millions of dollars, and my reputation, my word is so important and has been so strong for forever. And here I am stealing thousands of dollars. It doesn't make any sense at all for a person who cares about these things and their word and reputation is so important to them. Like,
It does if the tournament satellite has average players and you put these people in, more than one person in the satellite, more than one person that you stake are in this satellite, they owe you money anyway. Okay. And if they get first, they go into a bigger tournament where the returns are even higher. He's making himself look out to be like a fucking martyr or some shit. Like he's Mr. Squeaky Clean, and I find that to be extremely odd, especially when he denigrates the people that he chooses to go in business with. It just seems it just seems very, very, very strange. You know what I'm saying?
I'll just give, I don't care to parade myself about the things that I do well and for others in this life. I let my actions speak for themselves, and I don't care for any recognition for helping others or for the good that I do. But in the start of 2019, I found myself in a spot where I had my first ever losing year in 2018. I was in about $3.5 million in makeup, and I owed about another $1 million on the side. So I started the deal with the person who was backing me at the end of 2017, after I had a really big year and kind of had a bad run from the start of that backing until the start of 2019, in like that year and a quarter or so. So in the start of 2019, that person says to me, "Hey, I think that this 3.5 million that you're down, like the number's too big, and I'm willing just to wipe the number clean and to start our stake back at zero." And this is someone that I had no money at the time. I had no, it's not like I had assets or property. I had nothing. I needed to win $5.5 million.
So you did extremely well in 2017, but you had nothing. You never lost a game and never lost your own money, but didn't have the resources to pay it back. If you're losing all this money and then you win again, did you only break even with them to pay them back? So if you lost 5, but you made back 6 or 7, did you just give them the 5 and say, "Oh, I got your money back," and keep the 2? It's just this whole like Mr. Boy Scout shit doesn't really seem applicable. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like he's making it seem like he did nothing wrong, which he's supposed to do if you have something to hide, right? If you're guilty of something. But it's just, again, it's just, I never lost is what he said earlier. I never lost. I played extremely well, blah blah blah, right? Yada yada yada. But I owed all this money that I didn't have any money to pay back. What? How do the two occupy the same space? Like, how do the two occupy the same atmosphere? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get that. You never, he says he never lost. You know what I'm saying? Had people that took a stake in him, but couldn't pay it back. It just, a lot of things. It's like, what? Like, I don't know, man.
Just to get even at that point. And before the person could get the words out of their mouth, I told them that there's no chance that I would accept that, because for me, like, a deal and my word is just so much deeper than I think maybe others feel theirs. And it's always been so important to me. So for me, it was when we came into this agreement in 2017, it was for high stakes games. So in my mind, it's very easy to lose 3.5 million when the tournaments that you're playing are $100,000 buy-in, $250,000 buy-in, maybe $500,000 on the stake and $1 million buy-in or so. So it's not like it's a bunch of big tournaments that added up right there. But at the same time, when I got into that deal, I see myself as someone that's strong and that can get through that adversity. And because it's like that deal and every deal that I make is like a bond for me and my word and what I believe in. So if I were to accept like washing that money, it's almost like, to me, it would mean that what happened was too insurmountable for me and I couldn't get through it and it was too much and too difficult. Whereas on the contrary, before that conversation ended, I said, hey, don't worry, I'm in a great mental state and I'm going to be number one in the world again this year.
Okay, so
Yo, I mean, he just keeps. I mean, so you did lose. So you did lose. So it's not like you didn't lose. It's not like you never lost. So you have to take that back because you did lose. You have to take that back. You lost. Why are you claiming you never lost when clearly you're saying that you did lose, and that there were big these were big tournaments playing for big money, and there was a lot of loss in the beginning. But then again, you're admirable because the person was willing, that you won't name, was willing to wipe away a $3.5 million stake, restake you. But you're like, no, 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 let's keep that because I know I can. My confidence level is so high. I know I can. I mean, this is what he's saying. This is what he's saying.
This, I think, leads into what we do need to cover, the Lauren Roberts stuff for sure. But before that, I kind of want to finish some of the things that Zamani brought up and just specifically then address those, such as, what do you say to the accusation that you could see his screen? And I do think Doug like pointed out a few holes in his theory, but I just want you to address it. Could you see his screen?
It's absolutely crazy.
Here's the question I have that can clear this shit up. When Martin went to Mexico, was it his computer or was it a computer that Bryn provided for him? Because if it's a computer that Bryn provided for him, then clearly there was a remote software in the computer. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that, like, how would he be able to see your screen? I can see that. It's like, how would he be able to see your screen? So I don't know. We'll see. You know, somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. Okay, somebody's lying, and we're gonna get down to the bottom of it.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of the craziest things that I've ever heard in my life and has absolutely zero truth to it.
Okay, so then I feel like we also have to address this image of your screen, which contains TeamViewer and NordVPN. I think lots of people have at least VPN on, and address those, such as, what do you say to the accusation that you could see his screen? And I do think Doug like pointed out a few holes in his theory, but I just want you to address it. Could you see his screen?
It's absolutely crazy.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of the craziest things that I've ever heard in my life and has absolutely zero truth to it.
Okay, so then I feel like we also have to address this image of your screen, which contains TeamViewer and.
So TeamViewer. So there's an image of his screen that contains, according to Sarah, TeamViewer. TeamViewer is a remote tool. So that's like I said. Was it Martin's computer that they installed the TeamViewer for some kind of reason, so they could monitor his play in case he got out of control with his play and lost too much money? Was it a computer that Bryn provided for him? Because now he's saying that's categorically false. But she's saying there's an image that he has TeamViewer. So what was the purpose of having the remote software?
And NordVPN. I think lots of people have at least VPN on their computer. Can you explain TeamViewer? Is there a good reason for you to have these things on and running?
Well, like TeamViewer just when you have it downloaded, it's just something that like pops up when you turn on your screen, and it's a useful tool for being able to have communication with people, while at the same time I was absolutely not using TeamViewer. The people who do business with me know that I don't even have the time. I make that very clear that I don't have the time to really even coach them at all, let alone do.
This confirms Martin's story that there was people around Martin telling him what to do. So Bryn comes out like, yo, I don't know what's going on, because he's saying he doesn't involve himself that much, but that could be by design. And by the way, it says here TeamViewer is a remote access software and control computer software allowing maintenance of computers and other devices. It was first released in 2005, and its functionality has expanded step by step. TeamViewer is proprietary software, but does not require registration and is free of charge for non-commercial use. So, he's downplaying what TeamViewer is. Listen to what he says.
Just something that like pops up when you turn on your screen, and
Oh, it's just something that pops up when you turn on your screen. So that again, it's just the downplaying of certain things. He downplays every single thing. She's saying that team viewers on your computer, along with NordVPN, and it's just something that's on your screen. It just pops up every time you load. Oh, it's just in the start window. Well, you have to download said software, and it has a purpose as remote software. Again, another very peculiar thing that he's saying.
You know, it's a useful tool for, you know, being able to have communication with people, while at the same time I was absolutely not using TeamViewer. The people who do business with me know that I don't even have the time. I make that very clear that I don't have the time to really even coach them at all, let alone do anything untold in that regard. So I mean, these are things that people have on their computer. For instance, you know, going into my home computer because something's logged in there when I'm away from my house. It's something that can be useful and wasn't being used for any type of wrongdoings at
Wait,
all.
what? Wait, hold up,
Okay.
hold up.
And so for you
My
You know,
bad.
it's a useful tool for, you know, being able to have communication with people, while at the same time I was absolutely not using TeamViewer. The people who do business with me know that I don't even have the time. I make that very clear that I don't have the time to really even coach them at all, let alone do anything untold in that regard. So I mean, these are things that people have on their computer. For instance, you know, going into my home computer because something's logged in there when I'm away from my house. It's something that can be useful and wasn't being used for any type of wrongdoings.
Yes, but you can also log into somebody else's computer. Like if I have like a problem, I've used remote software before, right? Which is also something you can't do. Um, Say for example in poker, right? Like say I'm here, right? But I have the computer set up in Nevada and I have remote software set up at a friend's house somewhere and I'm gambling from here. You can't do that. That's against the rules. You broke the law because I'm gambling in California, which is illegal, but I have the computer in Nevada, which shows I'm in Nevada. You can't do that. Okay? So that's one thing. He's just saying, "Oh, I use it for my home computer, you know, to fix my computer, whoop de wop, and the third, this, that, and the third." Okay, but you can also have it installed in somebody else's computer and look at their stuff. If I had a friend of mine when I was doing the gold and silver sales for retirement accounts, when we had a problem with our computer, we had a guy who I would call on the phone when I had an issue, and you know he would come through every now and then. But sometimes, like one time, he was on vacation and he had remote software downloaded in everyone's computer. And when I had a problem, he's like, okay, open up the software. Okay, do this. And he's like, okay, um, um, I'm gonna fix a couple of things for you. I'm gonna delete your this, you know, simple stuff, deleting cookies and stuff. Some of the stuff I did, but there would be some, you know, he knew his stuff, so there would be things that he would do that I was unaware that you should do if you were having issues, right? So if it automatically pops up in the start menu, which he just basically stated is what it does, it just pops up, right? That means he had the ability to automatically go in whatever computer it was if it just pops up and starts up on a computer. Okay. He had the ability to go into any computer that was connected to that remote software. So again, it's confirmation. He's confirming that there is an image of this. She says about the image, she brings it up. He's confirming that he has the software. Okay. So again, it's just, I don't believe this squeaky clean. In my opinion, it just sounds a little bit funny, this whole squeaky clean thing, when he's admitting to every single thing. He's just not admitting to the extreme measures in which Martin is claiming he did.
At all.
Bryn did.
okay. And so for you use it for that, and maybe sometimes you're coaching people, or I don't have TeamViewer on my computer. I didn't even know what it was. I do have VPN software. So what are like reasons why people in poker would have this that are non-nefarious? for those who are watching who don't really understand. Does that make sense? I need you to like.
I mean, I'm just really trying to think, because I've given such little coaching to people like over the past few years, because I really have, been like balancing my time with other stuff. So
So you're lending out all this money. According to you, these people are losers who are stuck with, and when I mean stuck, I mean they're in the red. They're down. They're in the red. Okay, they owe you money. But you're not hands-on at all, really? You're just giving money away? Can I get $10,000 to go play some poker? I mean, what's going on here?
I've made it so clear that, hey, if I'm gonna back someone, I believe in that person, and I'm gonna give them the proper tools to try to be successful.
Do you guys honestly believe that a poker player at his level, I know poker players that play at $20 tournaments that give advice. There's a poker school down the street, okay, where you enter in a $40 tournament. They'll take your money if you lose and they'll give you advice. Okay? All right, it's a poker school. I got a buddy who went to $20 camps who's a good player. He gives advice all the time. He taught me about a game called Catching the Nuts. Okay? Which is a great game, and I was like, "Damn, you know what? Why didn't I ever do this before?" Calling out nuts or catching the nuts or whatever, or call the nuts or whatever, where you know, everybody in poker teaches. Everybody, from the lowest of the low to the highest of the high. But he's investing thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, but he's not coaching anybody at all. He's not hands-on at all. He's just giving money away.
In poker. But as you know, as anyone who I've dealt with recently can attest, I've really given no time at all to coach people outside a game. Inside a game, absolutely not. But what I would connect them with other friends or better players, and set up sometimes group lessons for them to join and to work on their game.
Which
So Martin says that there was other people around and things like that, but he also says that Bryn was involved in making decisions and talked to him. He's denying that. Bryn's denying that.
I think we also need to, before we move to the Lauren stuff, we need to address then the accusations about Sergei Reikic and what your, relationship is with him. He has since sent some things that Martin Zamani had sent him after they sort of showered this WSOP event. But do you want to just address some of the Sergei stuff?
Absolutely, because Sergey's a good friend of mine, and I think he's a really honest and good person. And from my personal, view of him, he's someone that works as hard or harder than anyone inside the poker world. When he was playing in high stakes tournaments, every hour that he wasn't playing, he would be studying on the side. So being someone that, really I think is such a good person and has put in so much work to the game, I've asked Sergi to do coaching for people, because Sergi I see as one of the best in the world, a world-class player, and I would ask him.
So he's learning about the game. Listen to what he says. He's reading books and learning about the game, but he considers him the best player and he's doing coaching? What?
Event, but do you want to just address some of the Sergei stuff?
Absolutely, because Sergey's a good friend of mine, and I think he's a really honest and good person. And from my personal, view of him, he's someone that works as hard or harder than anyone inside the poker world. When he was playing in high stakes tournaments, every hour that he wasn't playing, he would be studying on the side. So being someone that, really I think is such a good person and has put in so much work to the game, I've asked Sergi to do coaching for people.
Okay, so he's just saying that the guy plays a lot and studies the game a lot. and he thinks he's a good player, and so he had him do the coaching. That's basically what he's saying.
Because Sergi I see as one of the best in the world, a world-class player, and I would ask him to give assistance to, of course, during group sessions that are accounted also that Martin's been a part of. There would be group sessions that would be set up once a week sometimes.
My question is, how long has Sergey been playing? That would be my only question. Because if someone's reading books, I mean, I could be wrong because we all try to get better. We all read books, right? But that seems like something that, like, almost like something a beginner would do. Read a bunch of books and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that pros don't do that and they don't later read and stuff like that. But if you're playing all the time and you're reading books all the time on it, how long have you been playing? That's the only question I have. How long has this guy been playing for? That's all.
Times with Sergi or with Bert Stevens, where these were the guys who were the best players who I staked, and I was trying to get. I would say that goes in line with trying to give the tools to anyone that's close to me or in business with me to be successful. And sometimes even the people that were in those calls were people that I wasn't backing at the time, but just people that I liked and wanted to help
He knows a lot of pros. Bryn's known. Bryn is a known poker player.
them progress in their poker career.
Okay, so what do you say to the
Give the tools to anyone that's close to me or in business with me to be successful. And sometimes even the people that were in those calls were people that I wasn't backing at the time, but just people that I liked and wanted to help them progress in their poker career.
Okay, so what do you say to the allegations basically that Sergey was ghosting for
These are
Set
people.
up once
These are people that. Hold on.
a week sometimes with Sergi or with Bert Stevens, where these were, and when he was playing in high stakes tournaments, every hour that he wasn't playing, he would be studying on the side. So being someone that, you know, really I think is such a good person and has put in so much work to the game, you know, I've asked Sergi to do coaching for people because Sergi I see as one of the best in the world, a world-class player, and I would ask him to give assistance to, of course, during group sessions that are accounted also that Martin's been a part of. There would be group sessions that would be set up once a week sometimes with Sergi or with Bert Stevens, where these were the guys who were the best players who I staked, and I was trying to get. I would say that goes in line with trying to give the tools to anyone that's close to me or in business with me to be successful. And sometimes even the people that were in those calls were people that I wasn't backing at the time, but just people that I liked and wanted to help them progress in their poker career.
So you're helping them progress in their poker career, but they're coaching. These sound like fall guys to me. That's what they sound like. They sound like fall guys. You're Mr. Squeaky Clean. Your hands are not involved in anything. You're these. I mean, first of all, you said Martin came to you, okay, but you're not hands on. You're giving out all this money. You got other people coaching because you don't have the time. These are people that are the best players in the world, but you're trying to help them progress in their game.
Okay, so what do you say to the allegations basically that Sergey was ghosting for Zamani?
Well, you know, okay, so when you're someone who backs like a lot of people, of course you can't be in every bit of conversation of detail. So
He just admitted it. That's an admission. That's an admission. But see, he's separating himself. See, he's got these fall guys. That's what these people are. These people are fall guys. Sergey, everyone else who Martin named, these are all fall guys to go down for this shit. But he's trying to distance himself as, oh, I'm just, you know, I'm the pro that helps everybody and doles out all the money. But you know what? I don't know what they had going on because I'm too busy.
on this trip, Martin was there and getting coached. Even
Let's
the
go.
people
Watch.
that were in those calls were people that I wasn't backing at the time, but just people that I liked and wanted to help them progress in their poker career.
She did a great job of asking questions and letting him talk. You got to give her more credit because, she told us from the very beginning that she's a friend of his, that she considers him a friend. She said, I know there's going to be people that are be mad because she probably knows she's inexperienced in regards to doing this. And this is such a highly contested or highly um, contentious type of conversation to have. So obviously it's awkward, right? But she did a great job of asking a question and then just not saying anything afterwards. You got to give her credit for that, to let him talk.
Okay, so what do you say to the allegations basically that Sergey was ghosting for Zamani?
Well, okay, so when you're someone who backs like a lot of people, of course you can't be in every bit of conversation of detail. So on this trip, Martin was there and getting coaching from Sergi outside of the game. And on this particular night, and I'm just saying what Sergi and Martin have said to me, Sergi was out with his wife to dinner, and Martin sent him a message saying, "Hey, I'm deep in this tournament, can you come over?" And I think they both admitted that that's exactly what happened, but that's the at no point did I instruct that that's what he should do, that either of them should do that in this circumstances.
So if he set up to coach him, that's where Martin. This is where the story diverts because Martin is saying that was because Bryn wanted it that way. Because if he didn't do that, and 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 things didn't happen, he would be retaliated against. That's what Martin is claiming. Martin is claiming if he didn't do what Bryn wanted him to do in the way that he wanted him to do it, the tournaments that he'd be allowed to enter would go from 10 to 5,000 to fucking 500. Or he couldn't play a 5,000, he'd have to play a 10. And a 10 specifically that Bryn picked, which Bryn already admitted that he was picking the tournaments he wanted them to be in. Okay? Now, if you're picking the tournaments and you got 30 guys, 100 guys, and you're picking the tournaments and you tell 10 or 20 of your guys you want them in this tournament, you're setting it up. When you have Sergey as the coach slash fall guy, okay, for what reason? He's confirming again. If Martin is lying, why is he confirming everything that Martin is saying? He's confirming everything, but conveniently he has no involvement when it comes to a certain point of the situation. No, in no way did I say for him to fucking do that. Okay, then why would he call Sergey in a situation that he was deep in a tournament unless he was told to report? Why would you do that? If you believed that Martin was good enough of a player, which why would you stake him if you didn't believe that? You had Sergey as a coach. Okay. Again, he's making it seem like he put it on Martin right there. He's saying that Martin was the one that did that, and at no point did he tell any of them to do that. That's what he's saying. Okay. So why did Martin do it if he wasn't told to do it? Because he was nervous? Because he didn't want to play in the final table without making a certain call? Why didn't he just play the final table and say, you know what, I made the wrong call? Because he owes all this money. See, Bryn has these motherfuckers on the squeeze, dude. Bryn has these guys by the balls. They're in situations where they owe money, okay? And it seems like they can't breathe, move, or make a call without Bryn approving it. But he's got Sergey the fall guy. It's just, I don't know, man. It just doesn't add up. You're giving out all this money. You're a bank. You're a lottery for these guys. But you're not involved. You're not involved at all. You're too busy. So you have an operation, but what business do you know where the owner is not hands-on? What business do you know where the owner is not even at least a consultant? Yes, there are certain businesses that do function primarily with managers and stuff, and owners are not so involved, but even then the owner will show up and say, hey, how are the books? How are the numbers? You don't know if people are stealing from you. You don't know if, you know what I'm saying? So you do have some kind of involvement. He's making it seem like, oh man, hey, I don't know what they had going on. I don't know, man. It doesn't sound good.
Is I've said the opposite actually. And, it's something that happened between the two of them. And from all that Martin said, it happened one night and it might have happened between 3 to 4 hands or so. So, if that was something that was, prevalent, that let's say on this trip, if I were to say, okay, this is what I want you to do when you're deep in a tournament, like, call Sergi and have him help you. Then throughout that month, there would have been much more occurrences than just this one occurrence for a few hands. And actually, the week after this hand, Martin actually wound up three-handed in a 10K tournament. And with three people left and having a good stack equal to the two other guys, he somehow got all in with seven deuce offsuit or seven deuce suited. And it's like at these times you see when people are playing for like a lot of money and giving no care for your money and just outright playing bad or careless, you start to rethink being in business with.
It depends on the situation. Three-handed with seven deuce suited or seven deuce offsuit. It depends on the situation. Do you have a read on a guy? I mean, those things can happen where you might look. You have to bluff sometimes in poker, man. You do. There's times where you have to bluff to win. Like I guarantee you this: if you play a poker tournament, you're gonna bluff it. You're gonna have to bluff at least one time because you're not gonna have it all the time. And in some spots you bluff, and that's a moment where you run into kings. I mean, that these things are like common like situations. You know what I'm saying? He's got seven deuce offsuit is one thing. Suited is another thing. So, and everybody knows that seven deuce is like one of the worst hands in poker. Nine deuce, seven deuce, offsuit. That's an obvious bad hand, but it also depends on the circumstance. He got it in pre-flop, all in. What are the blinds at that point? Is he fighting? He might have been thinking, oh, this is a good time to fight for blinds. If the blinds have gone up to a certain point, depending on the stack, when you're battling for blinds at that point, you know what I'm saying? You got to try to, you know, get some of those blinds because every time you fold a hand, you might blind out, right? You might blind out. You might completely just blind out in your stack because the blinds are so high and the antes are so high. So you're battling for blinds and antes at certain situations. You are. I don't know. We'll keep going.
With these people. So, while Martin was in the same building as Sergi at on this trip for a whole month, and all that he said was that Sergi helped him in this one tournament at the end, which he requested him to do. And during the time I had zero knowledge of and didn't ask or request any of that to happen.
Martin said more than that. Okay. He said it was on behest of you. Okay. He said there was multiple different situations that he was told to do, or else he'd be retaliated against. That's the thing. There was a retaliation that if he didn't do certain things, then you would get mad at him and basically reduce his ability to pay you back the money. Right? I mean, everyone's in his pocket. When you owe when you owe somebody money, that's one of the worst feelings in the world is owing somebody money and wanting and having to pay them back. And if that person is vindictive or decides, you know what, I'm getting the raw end of the deal, so I'm going to go ahead and do this and that because this is my money and you owe me and you're not doing what I want you to do, so I'm going to go ahead and do this and that. Understand the only way that Martin could have fucking broke even with Bryn is if Bryn gave him more money to make. If Bryn gave him staked him more, so he could win more tournaments and make money, so he can make that money back that he owes him. That's the only way. Now, if you go from 5,000 to 500, and the final table on a 5,000 or 10,000 is 250,000, but the final table on a 500 is 20,000, how soon do you think you're going to be able to pay him back? You know what I mean? So, I mean, if Martin's story is true.
Okay. And so one of the implications of that conversation also was that Sergey was using real-time assistance, which he has said that he was not. Although he did say that, and I think this is also an interesting conversation that we as a poker community need to probably hash out anyways in some ways, was that sort of what real-time assistance is something that kind of has shifted in our conversations a lot, and what's okay to use and not okay is also kind of maybe gray in some areas. And
So at the time when I was really following poker, when I was following the Daniel Negreanu, Doug Polk um, heads up challenge, unbeknownst to me, because I didn't know about these things, they use something called solvers, which basically would let you know what the odds are on a certain situation, something like that. You know what I mean? Which is kind of built into some of these programs, because built into the actual app. Because when you look on certain apps, right? I don't know if they don't do this in tournament, in like real money tournament play, but on Play Money online, if you have, let's say, aces pre-flop will show up as 100% winning ratio pre-flop. Once you get into post-flop, let's say it's king king deuce, right? King of clubs, king of hearts, deuce, right? It'll show that, okay, you still have an 80% chance of winning. Let's say another deuce comes out, it'll show you have a 60% chance of winning. And then let's say another king comes out, it'll say you have, you know, an 86% chance of winning, because it's a 14% chance that the guy has a king, which is the only hand that could beat you, right? Because it's three kings, two deuces, it's a fucking full house on the board. So the only hands that could beat you would be pocket deuces, a king, okay, you know, something along those lines, right? Four of a kind, or a full house, right? Because you would have, actually, hold on, if it's three kings, no, four of a kind, because you have two aces. There's two twos out there, and there's three kings, so he needs a king or deuces. And so let's say there's a 14% chance. It would show that in the software, in the actual app software, sometimes, especially when it comes to like Play Money and shit like that. Hey, baby, you coming to bed? Okay. So those are, you know, that's a common thing. But when it was like solvers and stuff like that, I was like, this is kind of strange. You know, this is kind of strange, because I don't use stuff like that. I play like with instinct and things like that. So, you know, the things that poker players do now for statistical advantages, I feel are a little too extreme. And so her talking about what's acceptable and what's not is a good question.
And so he says he did not use, like, open up his laptop and use real-time assistance. Zamani claims that he did. Is this something that you've seen, witnessed? Is this something that you would help facilitate? I think a lot of the solvers and things are extremely expensive.
Okay, so these are solvers. These are solvers, which Doug Polk and Danny Negreanu admitted to using, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I think solvers should be taken away, because it gets rid of the. You're no longer playing based on human abilities. You're using external sources from some kind of program, whether you think it's AI, or whether you think it's just some kind of, you know, just a software program that goes through statistics. I think it's crossing a line at that point. Now, this was the cash game between the two of them. So if they made an agreement in the contract, we use solvers, and that's an agreement that Doug Polk and Danny Negreanu made. But if it was a situation where it's in a tournament and that's frowned upon or that's illegal, then that's a whole nother story. Hang on, guys. Let me set up in the other room. Oh shoot, this computer is hot. Okay, let me set up real quick. I'm gonna close this door real quick, just because I don't want the camera to. I never made the food. I'm starving. You too? You hungry? Okay. It's too late to eat, huh? Okay. So, you know, yeah, solvers is very, very, like, for me, is a no-no. But again, the situation I'm talking about is a situation where Daniel Negreanu and Doug Polk probably came up with terms and conditions to the match, which if I'm not mistaken, that's something that I believe, I'm pretty sure that, because they're playing for big money. There was like $1 million. I think Daniel was stuck $1 million or something close to that, something close to $1 million. So if they made that agreement, hey, we get to use solvers, then you know. One thing that was odd about the game that he played with Danny Negreanu, every time Negreanu had aces, he he didn't get any action. So maybe there was something Negreanu was doing. Maybe Negreanu was doing an automatic 3/4 of the pot auto bet, and Poke had a tell. That's possible. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother subject. Hold on one second. Let me get my charger. Let's see how much battery we have. We got a good amount of battery, but this battery used to be the shit. It's no longer the shit. Yeah, RTA. You got it. Yeah, you got it, David. RTA. Good night, honey. We got more people in the chat. That's what's up. Hold on. Let me get the charger, guys. Talking about this cheating allegation in poker. Gotta get that charger. I already washed the frying pan, so I feel like cooking something. I got you. Teddy's over here tripping like I'm about to give him a treat or something. All right, guys. Let me put in this charger real quick, because this battery on this laptop used to be the shit, but now it is shit. Excuse me, guys. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Yeah, this is gonna be a topic, guys, that it's not gonna go away anytime soon. David, what up? Yeah, RTA solvers. Yep. Let's see here. Scotty, what up? Jimmy, what up? Logan, what up? Chips, what up? How you guys doing? Poker Bunny can interview me. That's hilarious. Is that true, Logan? Is his account banned on GG? Sergey or Bryn? I heard Mike the Mouse said it was that Bryn was banned. Is that true? Can anyone look it up? Does anyone have a link to that? Is GG trying to distance themselves? What's going on? Because if that's the case, that doesn't look good. Let's see. There you go. The only time Team Viewer is used is when someone needs to log in and control another CPU. I was checking for these messages on my iPad. I was watching live on my iPad to make sure I didn't miss a message. Oh, that's so weird, guys. Sorry about that. I'm missing the messages on my iPad. They're not coming in, but I see they're coming in on here. So I'm going to have to, I guess, check through here every now and then. My apologies. I don't know why it's not coming through on my third party. It's not showing up at all. I only see Bradley Little's comment saying guilty. I don't see anybody else's comment unless I go here. Okay, wait, we got more. We got a shitload. What up, guys? We got a shitload of people in the house. Damn, why wasn't it showing up? Appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you. He's banned. GG banned him. Man, you guys were having a conversation. We got a lot of people in the house, man. Appreciate y'all. Oh, wait a minute. This is their this is their shit. Okay, this ain't my shit. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is their shit. All right, let's see if anyone's peeping this out. Let me know what's up with the GG stuff. I'm interested. I'm gonna look that up. We're gonna do a part 2 and a part 3 and a part 4. So we got Bradley in the house. I got excited for a second. I was like, wait a minute. I got excited for a moment. I'm like, wait, there's a lot of people in here. Why didn't I see that? It's all good. That's my bad. That's their channel, not mine. Yeah, they were on. They were on them. All right, let's go.
I might be
Yeah,
wrong.
so
Maybe you can help
I,
understand.
I've never seen Serge use any of this stuff. I've never heard it being used, that he was using it from any of our close friends that have been around him much more than Martin. He knows that personally I'm completely against doing anything like that. And really, I believe him 100% when he says that he hasn't used any of this real-time assistance. And like you were saying about these conversations, sites have different ideas of if you can use certain pre-flop charts, like while you're playing, that, it's a gray area, that it's okay from this side and it's unaddressed from this side and it's okay from this one. And I'm pretty sure he admitted to using some of these pre-flop charts. And that's also something that I had no knowledge of. Not to say that, I'm saying, oh, it was so bad for you to use it. But at the same time, I had no knowledge that he was using anything inside the game. And if I did, him and anyone else that's close to me would say that I would have adamantly been against it.
And so what was your response when he was kicked out of GG? And for what reason was it made known that he was not allowed to use GG anymore?
Really, I didn't believe any of it, and I started to ask for more information that I kind of didn't get any more information. And from the claims that he made, it seems that he asked GG Poker for all the hands that he played because he was sure that he could prove that he wasn't using real-time assistance with the game and the style that he has. So he's never really been offered the opportunity to clear himself in this regard. And I haven't personally seen anything with my own eyes or heard anything from a reliable source that's seen it with their own eyes that he was doing anything like this.
Okay. Oh my gosh, there's still, I know we're like deep in this and there's still so many things. I feel like I want to flush out some of the stuff with the stables and the satellites and things like that. But I also want to tackle some of this Lauren Roberts stuff. And I feel like while we're on the subject of talking about ghosting and that this isn't something that you would have approved or encouraged in your stable, Lauren has made a lot of allegations, one of which is you ghosting on her account. And she has said that you told her that she won a poker tournament and that suddenly she had less makeup or something along those lines. I think she said magically our number went down after she won a tournament. So what would you say to that allegation? And
That's too many people accusing him. There's too many people. It's not just one guy.
Satellites and things like that. But I also want to tackle some of this Lauren Roberts stuff. And I feel like while we're on the subject of talking about ghosting and that this isn't something that you would have approved or encouraged in your stable, Lauren has made a lot of allegations, one of which is you ghosting on her account. And she has said that you told her that she won a poker tournament and that suddenly she had less makeup or something along those lines. I think she said magically our number went down after she won a tournament. So what would you say to that allegation? And
well, she's made another allegation that doesn't connect to each other at all. So You know, she has it here saying that I was ghosting on her account while there's a screenshot of her account losing, I think, 2.2 million on a straight, like, down decline, while at the same time making a claim that I was, whatever word, taking advantage of her being in games and having all my horses like kind of hunt her. So I don't understand how, you know, one side she can state that I was playing on her account, but then on the other side I was having people hunt her because she was, you know, a weak player.
That's easy to cover your tracks. To cover your tracks. This guy's not stupid. He's smart. He's a vet. So if anyone knows how to cheat, is a good player, right? If anyone knows how to cheat, it's a professional in that field, right? He's a professional. And so, unbeknownst to anybody, that's the move they claim you did. And the reason that you would do something like that, in my opinion, is to cover your tracks and make it seem like you're on their side. And again, the manipulation of the situation. Here's a woman, okay, who is supposed to be a new player, a newish player, who's not great at the game, right? But has money. Somebody that's a good target. He has his horses prey upon her, which I think is wrong. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it depends, right? Like if you're like, oh man, there's a person at this table who's just given all this action. You got to come here. She's not that good. You got to check this out, right? But if it's people who she's your friend and these other people are your business acquaintances and you're jumping on her account to make things look like it's on the up and up, but yet she's a mark. That's what she is. She's obviously a mark. And he's saying the amount that she got taken for was 2 million. Everyone's confirmed. He's still confirming everything that everybody said. The part he's just doing a little twist on his involvement and his naivete and him not being there not being any nefarious purposes, which it's too many things. He's confirming everything, but when it comes to an admission of guilt, he's saying that he has no involvement whatsoever. That's when he backtracks, or that's when he separates himself from the situation. Say, no, it's all them. I didn't do anything, but it's all them. It's Martin. It's Lauren, I think is her name. It's Sergey, but I trust them. You know, it's everybody else has done everything wrong, but you're squeaky clean. You've done nothing wrong. At the same time, you're doling out all this money. Everybody sucks. You're this great player. Everybody sucks. Okay? And everybody owes you money, and they're all a bunch of, his words, losers, right? So he's got two people accusing him of nefarious things. Two people. Now it's, along with Martin, it's her too. Okay, and so I could see that she might have got played or something like that, and I guess it's a gray area on what's going on. But if he's her coach, right? If she's involved with him because he's coaching her to be a better player, and she's entrusting that to him, but he gets his business partners and sets her up as a mark when he's supposed to be teaching her how to play. That could be another reason why he was on her account. Because if you're coaching somebody, say, here, sit down, look at this. Look, at this point, this guy has 10 dudes. So this guy, in my opinion, probably has uh, Queen 10 suited. I put him on Queen 10 suited, Jack 10 suited, or Ace King offsuit, based on, you're coaching somebody based on bet amounts and how, in your experience, how things look. Sometimes pre-flop ideas. What you put poker's about what you put your opponent on as well. What you think your opponent has, right? You have to guess what your opponent has, so you know where you're at, right? And some players like Daniel Negreanu can do that shit pre-flop, post-flop, river, or excuse me, turn and river, right? Some players could do it at any time. Shit, I've seen Daniel Negreanu do it where the person folds, even though Daniel had the worst hand, the person folds the hand because Daniel called the exact hand that they had. He's one of those kind of crazy ass players. He's really good. So if you were supposed to be her coach or her mentor, that can explain why you jumped on her computer. And if she entrusted in you your experience and trusted you to help her be a better player, but she became a mark, that's wrong. Okay, so it's a part of the con. If she's getting conned, it's a part of the con. Oh, I'm gonna get on her computer and I'm gonna make it look like I'm on her side. She doesn't know that there's horses. She might think she's playing with regular people. She doesn't know until after the fact, which is why she put two and two together after the fact, made the accusation. Oh, he jumped on my computer, plus he set me up. Right? So when he's saying it makes no sense, that's not necessarily true. If he's doing nefarious things, there's a purpose behind it to make it look like he's Mr. Innocent. And that's what he's trying to make. He thinks he's real smart. He's trying to make it look like he's Mr. Innocent and woe is me. And I don't know how this happened. And my intentions were good and I'm pure of heart. And other people did weird stuff. You know, not at one point also during this whole conversation does he say, you know what, it's my responsibility because at the end of the day, it rides on me. I haven't heard him say that once. But maybe he says it later.
I mean, I think the
while
allegation
at
is
the same
basically that you were like playing that you were having your horses take money from her and then also periodically taking money back from your horses.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It goes in line to be something so crazy because, you know, inside that, Martin was saying that in these satellites, that he should call like the players with any two cards, and you know, this doesn't make any sense. You're not going to actually make money if you like employ this strategy, and you know, why would I ever want to move money from one side to the other? And that would also mean that I had multiple people involved in, you know, this complex scenario that really makes no sense, while at the same time, you know, me and Lauren for a period, I think it was 4 years ago, I would say that Lauren was my best friend like 4 years ago. We were spending a lot of time together. She was nice to offer me a room to stay in her house, and she loved poker, and we would talk about poker all day, and we would have good laughs, and we went on multiple trips around the world, and I was trying to do the same thing. I was trying to recommend her people that could help enhance her life in terms of health and even doctors, and try to offer her coaching from people who I was staking, and I was giving
Coaching from people that she would pay them, right? At the end of the day, the money comes back to him. She would have to pay them for the coaching. It wouldn't be free. They owed you money, so the money would go to you. So you're recommending people that you staked based on what you just said. Okay? Based on what you just said. And you're making the same weird recommendations with her that you made with Martin. Food and everything, and claiming to be taking care of the house. And you're not coaching anybody. You're not coaching Martin. You're not coaching any of the people that you staked. You're not coaching Lauren. You're having the people that you said are losers who you staked that are not making any money. They're doing all the coaching. But you're putting the money out and you're not coaching anybody? You're not coaching anyone? You're just giving out money and letting people who you call are losers who owe you money do all the coaching. So you recommend these people who owe you money, they got to pay those coaches. Those coaches got to in turn pay you because they owe you money. So it all goes to you. And why would you care anyway if you jump on her account? Because guess what? You're buddy with her. She seems to be pretty generous, so you're gonna make money. You're staying at her house rent free. You just admitted that. So you're benefiting monetarily from the situation. You stand the gain. Okay? And if you're with her all the time and she wins money from your horses, guess what? That comes back to you because you're coaching her. Quit fucking lying. You're coaching her. And she's paying you. And if you're not getting payment like that, you're getting it another way through offering a room and going on trips and things that you've admitted from your own mouth. You're getting benefits. This is friends with literal benefits. But then when you're on a computer, making it seem like, okay, look, I'm on your side here. These are not my horses. She didn't know till after the fact. She's probably thinking she's playing with regular people or other pros that you may recognize. It's not until after the scam you realize you got scammed. You don't realize you're being scammed in the moment. You find out afterwards and then you feel like a fucking fool. That's how most scams go down. The money comes back to him. He's not coaching anybody. He's giving out all this money and not expecting Mr. Nice Guy. It's okay. I'm down 500,000, but you're not implementing any protocols to get your money back. It's just odd. It's just fishy. It doesn't add up. He's making himself seem like it's a matter of circumstance. Woe is me. I don't know how I got into this situation. They're making stuff up. Sergey got banned, but he's trying to prove you know too much, but you don't know anything. You see, it's just it looks guilty as fuck. Like Brad said, shout out to Brad. It looks guilty.
Her coaching myself for no incentive. So the other thing is Lauren can't say that I ever had any piece of her at any point. So I had no financial gain by her in doing anything. And at the same time, when people make accusations of, Lauren losing money, the thing is Lauren never actually paid the money that she lost. She still owes me a huge amount of money that she showed some messages of me asking for it, and
Wait a minute. He just fucked
coaching
up.
from people who
He
my
just fucked
best
up.
friend like 4 years ago.
He
We
just fucked
were
up.
we were
There's a
spending a
lot of
lot.
times where he's like, "Oh, I didn't give any money. They owe me money. Oh, I didn't do that, but you know what I mean? Like, oh, I didn't lend her any money, but she owes me money. I didn't do this. I never lost, but I owed 100. I owed 3.5. He keeps contradicting himself. I never lost, but I owe 3.5. I didn't give her any money, but she owed me.
A lot of time together. She was nice to offer me a room to stay in her house, and she loved poker, and we would talk about poker all day, and we would have good laughs, and we went on multiple trips around the world, and I was trying to do the same thing. I was trying to recommend her people that could help enhance her life in terms of health and even doctors, and try to offer her coaching from people who I was taking, and I was giving her coaching myself for no incentive. So the other thing is Lauren can't say that I ever had any piece of her at any point. So I had no financial gain by her in doing anything. And at the same time, when people make accusations of, Lauren losing money, the thing is Lauren never actually paid the money that she lost. She still owes me a huge amount of money that she showed some messages of me asking for it, and
He just fucked up right there. And he knows he fucked up right there. He just fucked up right there. He said, I didn't stake her any money. So she doesn't owe me any money. But then he's saying that she owes him money. Through where? GG? What were the kickbacks you were getting? What did Gigi promise you? She didn't pay Gigi, therefore you didn't get paid? So there was a financial incentive then. So why are you trying to make it seem like there was none? He just fucked up. 44 minutes and 15 seconds. He just fucked up. He just fucked up. He just fucked up. He just snitched on himself right there. He just snitched on himself. See why she did a good job? See why she did a good job? You see why she did a good job? She let him talk. When people keep talking and talking and talking, they're playing themselves. This guy operates like a loan shark. He operates like a mafia guy. You owe me, so how are you going to pay me back? You got to do me a favor, though. Don't worry about that. We'll make good on that, but I need you to do this. This is how when you're in his pocket, he owns you. He owns you. And the way he fucking plays that card, you owe me money. So you got to do what I say. This is how he's operating. He's operating like, yo, you're in my pocket. You owe me. You have a debt that you have to pay. And if you don't pay that debt, then I need you to do this. I need that. Saying, oh, she didn't pay the money. So how is she stuck then? Who is she stuck to? I thought GG owes that money. So you're making a commission from her play by bringing her in. So what does it matter if you have your horses involved who owe you money anyway? What does it matter that you're on her computer because she owes money apparently, but you never staked it. You never staked her. She never paid it. Maybe because she knows she got gamed. She says she stuck 2 million, so how is she not paying? You said that you never staked her the money, right? You never staked her the money, but she through your own mouth, you just said you got messages or whatever the fuck you just said about she owes you money. So you were making money regardless. You're making money from the horses. You're making money from her. She's the fish. She's the big fish, right? She's the whale that you said people had to bring in. You're taking people's accounts according to Martin. Okay. What does it matter? The situation, because if she's bringing in money, you're making a commission based on big players who lose. That's why she owes you money. It's one of those two things. So you had a financial incentive regardless. So why are you making it seem like, oh, I never staked her, so she didn't owe me any money, but then she owes you money? Listen to this guy. Listen to what he says. He just basically can't be trusted. Listen to what he says.
And she loved poker, and we would talk about poker all day, and we would have good laughs, and we went on multiple trips around the world, and I was trying to do the same thing. I was trying to recommend her people that could help enhance her life in terms of health, and even doctors, and try to offer her coaching from people who I was taking, and I was giving her coaching myself for no incentive. So the other thing is, Lauren can't say that I ever had any piece of her at any point. So I had no.
So you did coach her with no incentive? This guy's a liar, man. This guy's a liar. In my opinion, this guy's lying. In my opinion, he's lying. Because he's making himself to be out. He's just close enough to where and then he's like, oh, no. Like, nah, dude, you're lying, bro. Watch. He fucks himself up this whole time right here.
Besides that, Martin was saying that in these satellites, that he should call like the players with any two cards. And this doesn't make any sense. You're not going to actually make money if you like employ this strategy. And why would I ever want to move money from one side to the other? And that would also mean that I had multiple people involved in, this complex scenario that really makes no sense. While at the same time, me and Lauren for a period, I think it was 4 years ago, I would say that Lauren was my best friend like 4 years ago. We were spending a lot of time together. She was nice to offer me a room to stay in her house, and she loved poker, and we would talk about poker all day, and we would have good laughs, and we went on multiple trips around the world, and I was trying to do the same thing. I was trying to recommend her people that could help enhance her life in terms of health, and even doctors, and try to offer her coaching from people who I was staking, and I was giving her coaching myself for no incentive. So the other thing is Lauren can't say that I ever had any piece of her at any point. So I had no financial gain by her in doing anything. And
I had no financial gain by her doing anything.
at the same time, when people make accusations of, Lauren losing money, the thing is, Lauren never actually paid the money that she lost. She still owes me a huge amount of money that she showed some messages of me asking for it. And
I have no financial gain. She still owes me a lot of money. What? What? Awkward silence.
yeah, it's yeah, some life is humbling, and sometimes you can't understand things because from her side, she sees herself as, this victim that I took advantage of. But in reality, that couldn't be less true. I offered her to stake Sergi with me at one point because she was losing a lot of money on GG. So I started letting her have action that she never paid for either. So the amount that she was losing of 2.2 million, I wound up making back for her about 1.5 million of our.
So you staked her. So you offered up you didn't stake her, but you offered up the money for her to stake other people? You had no financial incentive, I thought. You didn't coach anybody, I thought. What did Bradley say? What'd you say, Bradley? Bradley hit him up like Ben Stiller in Starsky and Hutch. Guilty.
our stake of Sergi,
He's
her
done, dude.
buying pieces of me.
He's
And
done.
she, I was also, she would ask me for large amounts of money on party poker. She would ask me at times to pay off her debts from, this game or that game. And she never paid any of the money that she actually lost from GG. So I don't understand, the predator approach. And that's something that, it's tough for me to see because I mean, it's so against my character.
GG paid him. GG was paying him. He was making commissions. That's how. There's just so many ways. See how many ways he's getting paid. He's getting paid from coaching. He's getting paid from the horses that he has. They owe him money. Uh, 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 he staked them on her behalf, but not having financial incentive. I mean, dude, that's it right there. He's done. He's done. And so those that are saying that Sarah didn't do a good job, I'm sorry, but if you look at this, she did a great job because she asked a couple questions. She asked actually just one question sometimes, and just stayed quiet and let him do the talking. And at 45, between 44 and 45 minutes, his story is all over the place. He's contradicting himself. He's fucking tripping over what he's saying. She owed him money, but she didn't. She didn't stake, but she did. He staked for her, but there was no fine. I mean, it's just what? What? What do you mean? He's done.
To take advantage of anyone. And I'm always so generous and giving and caring. And during this time, me and Lauren would go on trips. I would pay for the rooms. She would fly on some private jets with me. We would go to dinners. I would pay for it. So, I mean,
So she scammed you. You didn't scam her. She scammed you. See how he is? Like, you owe me money. This is the predator. This is the predator. Is the you owe me money. I did this for you. I did that. Come on, dude. I did this for you. I did that for you. And this is how you repay me? Come on, man. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real, dude.
even in my poker career, when I had no money and I was negative, it's like all the people that ever hung around me, like I would really pay for that she actually lost from GG. So I don't understand, the predator approach, and that's something that it's tough for me to see because I mean it's so against my character to take advantage of.
Look at Sarah. She don't believe that shit. She knows he's lying. Look at her. Look at her face. She knows he's lying. Look at her. She's like, look. She's like, she knows he fucked up there. She knows. She knows.
Anyone. And I'm always so generous and giving and caring. And during this time, me and Lauren would go on trips. I would pay for the rooms. She would fly on some private jets with me. We would go to dinners. I would pay for it. So, I mean, even in my poker career, when I had no money and I was negative, it's like all the people that ever hung around me, like I would really pay for their life. And if they were struggling through hard times, I would loan them money for it. So, it's like
That's the con. That's the thing. Oh, I give you 50, but I'm getting back. How else are you gonna get people to do whatever you want if they owe you something? He's saying everybody. He says she owe. He's saying that she didn't owe him, but she owed him. The horses are losers that owe him. Everyone owes him. The greedy person in the matter is him. He's saying he's giving out all this money, but everyone owes him something. He's doing it for free. He's doing it to go bust, to go bankrupt. That's why he's doing it. Come on, man.
it's messages that contradict each other continuously
That's what
in
he's
these
doing.
allegations where it's saying, here's one.
That's what he's doing. He just contradicted himself several times in the course of literally 2 minutes. From 44 to 46 minutes, he contradicts himself several times. Mr. Innocent over here.
Something, but here's the, something that doesn't have this make any sense.
So what happened with Lauren? I mean, that's what I think is confusing also. So you guys were very close friends and clearly something happened and she is pissed off.
I mean, I don't really like, I prefer not to talk about, other people really, but, our relationship just, it changed a little bit. I met my girlfriend at that time, and maybe it was about a month period where I was hanging out at Lauren's house and we were spending all day together, hanging out, laughing, talking poker. And then, she would kind of get jealous of my girlfriend, of her not going on certain trips, that she kind of thought that she should have an invite to every trip that I ever went on. And it turned into something that started to get much more uncomfortable for me. And at the same, for someone who, I've always.
He let her on. He let her on. You staying at her house. You just admitted you're best friends. Staying there every day. Okay? You went on trips every day prior. Now that the situation you feel like you don't get no more benefit from, you're ready to move on because you already milked that cow. No offense. You know what I mean? You already sucked the udder. You know what I mean? So a lot got revealed in these moments, and Sarah knows it.
Paid my own way. So when you say, Lauren and her husband let me stay at their house, it's not like I needed to stay at their house. I liked them and it was a nice, comfortable setting for me and it worked. But then when I started leaving for more and not staying as much, it's like the energy and the relationship like started shifting into somewhat of a toxic way that, anyone who was privy to our relationship and everything that happened, people like my mom and close friends that, knew about our relationship and everything that was going on, that's the unfortunate way that things turned.
So she seemed to suggest also that you're fairly loose with the accounting within your stable, or that it wasn't very clear. Um, what would you say to that?
I mean, loose is, I don't know about loose, when you're doing business with a lot of people, you might not have spread. I'm not a person, an accountant would have spreadsheets and they would show every single date, every debit or credit that made it to result in the number that it is today. Me, I would have a number and I would update it anytime that there was a plus or a minus from that number. And in like that picture where she showed, I think it's pretty clear accounting when I sent her a picture of her losses on GG, that's full detailed accounting. And then at the same time, saying that your number is much, much less than that number. I mean, I see that as a cop out of someone not wanting to pay the debt that they have, trying to find a reason that, it's not their fault or they didn't do something wrong.
So I think maybe I need to understand better also. I was under the impression when I started seeing Lauren Roberts come into these high roller events and things, that she was a very wealthy businesswoman, as we've seen plenty of these people.
Well, that's the same thing that she presented to me. She would make claims to me about having all this money herself personally, and that she had, been a successful trader for all this time. But then, as I see now, I think that she would, fabricate truths of her own success and her own ability to gamble and to play, whereas I know that she lost a lot of money playing poker, and I know that it wasn't, at least most of it wasn't her money. And I know for a fact that that person who it was her money said that she couldn't play any more poker, said it to other people. So, maybe because she sees her poker her poker her poker life as, maybe a failure. Maybe she was expecting to be someone like me. She would even make claims like she was asking if I could ask the person who was backing me if they would back her in the same games. And the person who was backing me, they thought that I was the best in the world, and that's why they were backing me for these large buy-in live tournaments. So I think she created a misconception of her own poker skill, and because her career has been so unsuccessful, I think she's trying to grasp for reasons of why it was unsuccessful, other than a poor understanding of her own skill and the games that she was playing in with the bankroll that she had.
Okay, so you're saying the allegations from her are false, and mostly maybe because of a salty relationship in the end, and then some like financial debts potentially that are just never going to be paid.
Yeah, I mean, because she posted a bunch of pictures of trying to make me look bad, but there were also just pictures of me asking her 6 months, 12 months, a year and a half after, just if she could pay me some small amount of money. Because what happened was is so I gave Laura, so Lauren owed me a bunch of money from this GG, and I offered, because she was claiming that she had all of this money herself. I wanted to do the right thing and help her make some of that back so she wasn't losing as much. So I offered her a deal to be my partner, to back Sergi with me for all the games that he plays. The real thing that left a sour taste in my mouth is, since she was unable to pay even just the $700,000 debt that she has right now, it means that when she owed me 2.2 million, she accepted a deal that she was free rolling me for more millions, because it's a similar type of thing. Sergi was playing 25, 50, $100,000 tournaments, it would have been very reasonable for him to lose $1, $2, $3 million straight, which really was more money than I could afford at the time. But I was banking on, that if things went wrong, that she would be able to pay what Sergi lost and be able to pay some of the money towards the money that she lost on GG. But since she wasn't even able to pay me smaller amounts in increments, and me, trying to be nice and respectful in the ways, it seems like she really had no way to pay any of this money, which, I would argue that in this scenario, she was the one who was a predator. I mean, she was there free rolling me for millions of dollars when I was supposed to be her best friend and living in her house, and her stating to me that I was her best friend many times. I mean, honestly, I see it as, in that scenario, really, I was the sucker and the one to get taken advantage of.
Okay, so I feel like we need to dig a little deeper into some of the things that Zamani said that it seems like some other people might have validated. And this you touched on a little bit, but in talking about some of these, the satellites, some of the overlays, and talking about putting your team in, and I think the quote was, "Do what's best for the team." Can you speak to that? And
He scoured through his whole messages between me and him, and there's not a single thing that says "do what's best for the team." So he might have had some understanding of himself personally, but I never said to anyone "do what's best for the team." Everyone is playing for themselves, and their winning and losses is going to affect them. So there's definitely no layer that you're expected or supposed to do anything other than play your best game, and then it's up to that person to do whatever that means for them. And in these satellites, like I said earlier, the people that he listed are huge losers on the site, and I would say that I was careless about putting people into games that were above their skill level, because it was a time that GG's guarantees were growing, and for big guarantee tournaments to run and to hit the guarantee so that you can hit more, you need satellites to run. So did I have horses of mine start these satellites to make sure that they ran? For sure I did, but absolutely none of them were instructed to do anything wrong in any way.
So in the beginning, he said that they needed the satellites to run. According to him, they needed the satellites to run. That they didn't have these bigger games, but he said that they needed to enter the satellites to make it to bigger games. He's saying that at first they needed people to get into satellites because they didn't have those big games, but then he just said we got into the satellites so we can get the bigger guarantees, because satellites, when won, get you into bigger games. He's scamming, dude. He's scamming.
Way from me at any point.
And can you speak a little bit to your relationship with GG?
Yeah, I would say that I started out with GG as an ambassador. I translated that deal into something more like an affiliate deal, and I would say influenced and advised them on the tournaments that we should run, the guarantees, the satellite schedules for them, and help them scale their business from what they were when I started to what they are today.
Okay. And so you're departing from them was amicable.
Well, there's a whole thing that says online that I was, dropped as an ambassador or something, or fired from GG. That couldn't be less true of a statement. I'm the one who told GG that it was time that my ambassador deal was over. So it was nothing on their side. There was nothing going on wrong in any way that they cut me off. I still have communications with the person who runs that tournament team, with the CEO of that company. They ask me advice in different areas, and there's been no bad. There's been nothing bad that's happened, and I've never had. Yeah, like I wasn't dropped as an ambassador. My account on GG Poker is still live. I could play with it. It's never been frozen, suspended at any time. And other than Sergi, not another person that I do business with has been frozen or suspended at any time.
Okay, so I feel like we just have to ask some questions just to make sure we have like super clear answers. Yes or no? Have you ever ghosted on Lauren Roberts or anyone else's account?
I mean, I've had a poker career for like 17 years. Have I been, in the same room as someone and been coaching them at poker and, advise them in a hand or two or some hands? The last thing I'm going to do is claim that I've never helped anyone while they're playing. It's been a 17-year career, and like we were saying before, you learn along the road of what's right and what's not.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no?
But absolutely, I never had an operation that was based on a scheme of ghosting. And if I were helping people, it would be because I was next to that person at the time and giving them coaching lessons and had no financial incentive or gain for myself.
That's ghosting. He said, no, I didn't ghost, but there was times where I was in the room and would coach. When he said he didn't coach anybody. Now he's saying he was in the room with people coaching. When he said he wasn't hands-on and didn't coach. He's saying he has no financial incentive, but these are all losers that owe him money. The more he talks, especially near the end, the guiltier he sounds. He just sounds guilty, man, because nothing is adding up. He's saying two different things. He's saying, woe is me, I was naive. He literally says I was naive at some point in this interview. He's saying I didn't stake her. There was no financial incentive, but they owe me money. He's constantly contradicting himself. And even Sarah says, so we get more clear answers, yes or no, because he's just blabbing on. Trying to sell you on the idea that he's Mr. Squeaky Clean.
Okay, and why did you leave GG?
I felt like it was time in my life. I had other things going, and I just felt like that's what was right for me.
Okay. I feel like I need to open it up to some questions. Does that seem like?
Yep.
I can't even.
And you know what? One other thing, for anyone just to state, in this interview, it's live. There were no predetermined questions. I didn't ask you to see any of the questions that you were giving me. I showed up as my true and honest self, and that's what I am, and that's what's important to me.
Okay, so
she knows he's full of shit. She knows.
Overall sense is that you have to just answer some questions, apparently. So, Zamani, you also have to address this. Is it true if people like didn't eat the right foods or do the things that you told them to do, that this is what would determine whether or not they were dropped in stakes or not?
Absolutely not. While at the same time, if someone's continuously making poor decisions and being negative in their life, that is something that, of course, you have to consider always, because poker's a tough game, and for playing high stakes, you really have to be in the right frame of mind. So I'm the person who's putting up all the money. So of course you're going to have to make assessments if you think
That's the scheme. That's the scam. You owe me. You're in my pocket. Yes, but no. No, but yes. Constant contradictions from this fucking guy. Absolutely not. But at the same time, you got to make sure you get your money back. Mr. Double Speak over here. All con men double speak. All con men take both sides of the argument. They all do that. That's why she's saying yes or no. Yes or no. He's saying yes and no.
that person's actually winning in the game that they want to play, because everybody in poker, they assess their skill much higher or better than it is. And just because they believe that they're good enough to play in a game doesn't mean that that's true. And
See, that this is something that is so crucial to the criminal mind. A criminal always believes that everybody else is full of shit, and that gives them the right to do criminal shit because they don't trust anybody and they think everybody is a scammer. So that gives them the right to scam. That's the criminal credo right there. You'll hear that from every single criminal's mouth. Okay? That everyone thinks they're better than they actually are, and they won't admit that there's anything wrong with them, which is why he feels like he has the right to pull the funny shit that he's pulling. They're all lying to me, so why can't I lie to them? You see that? I'm not one of those people. If that's true, then why do people come to you in the first place for help? If they think they're the greatest poker players in the world and that they're so good, why did they come to you for help? Were people just looking for a stake and that was it? Or were they actually looking for a stake and advice? Mr. $55 million over here. You don't think people want to make that kind of money too? Why do you think they came to you in the first place? So they can get on that level or close to that level. They wouldn't fuck with you if they didn't think you had something that would benefit their playability, their ability to play certain situations, because you're a high stakes player who plays the highest of stakes. So why else would they come to you if not for to improve on their game? That's why anyone goes to a coach, is to improve their game.
I see myself as someone that understands a lot about poker. I think that I'm the best or one of the best ever. And I think that I'm someone that can make a good assessment of if a person's winning or not in that game. But at the same time, with no horses at any point have I said, you have to do this, otherwise this is what's happening.
And I feel like you have to address the toad poison situation. I didn't want to focus on this, but questions have been asked.
I mean, I've never done any, I never did any of that with Martin. I've never done any psychedelics or anything with Martin. At the same time, I recommended him to, I connected him to a person that was was that was recommended to me by another close friend that knew her for a long time. And this is someone that I recommended Martin to go see to try to help him from, just always being unhappy. And
Of course, to treat his depression, right? Right? That's the new thing, right? I've been shrooming for years. Now everybody wants to say it treats depression. Okay, it's good to know that you guys are on my level now. When I was 15 shrooming, you motherfuckers talk shit about me. Now everyone wants to shroom because fucking fake ass Joe Rogan said it's cool. Who didn't start smoking weed till 30, but that's neither here nor there. Martin never said that Bryn did it. Matter of fact, he said I never did psychedelics with Martin. I never did it with Martin. Okay. Martin never said he did. And Martin said that he never did the toad venom thing, but recommended that he do that. Okay. So in no point did Martin say, oh yeah, um, we did this together. He never said that. He never said that. He said you recommended it and you just admitted that you did. Okay, but he wasn't comfortable with that. He was comfortable with taking a high dose amount of psilocybin, 9 grams of mushrooms, dry probably. He was cool with that because he had experience with that. He didn't stray away from that from Doug Polk's interview. He said he'll take shrooms right now. He doesn't care. He likes shrooms. But all that extra shit with the toad venom and all that shit, he didn't want to do all that. He didn't want to do that. And then he says that you never did that, but you recommended it to him. You're saying that you never did it with him, which he never claimed that you did. That you've done psychedelics on your own, but not with him. I mean, it's just, I can see why people think some funny shit's going on. I got to agree. There's some funny shit going on. In my opinion, it's not adding up.
And at that point, he's going to go meet with someone, and it's his decision if he wants to go forward with that. It's just, it's something like, make a recommendation for someone to meet another person, and what happens there is, an adult consenting of if they want to go ahead with it when they're presented with all the information right there.
Okay, people want to know, was there a...
Not ahead of time, but then and there? He confirmed so much of Martin's story. But he leaves out the nefarious, controlling, egotistical shit, which I believe there's some truth there, in my opinion.
Romantic element to your relationship with Lauren, and is that part of what's kind of going on publicly now?
There was no romantic element, but at the same time, she did make multiple comments and even actions that started making me more and more uncomfortable, which I would guess that from her side, there probably is a feeling of that of romantic relationship, that absolutely nothing ever happened like that.
Okay. So circling back to the conversation we had about TeamViewer and VPN, and basically if you aren't coaching people, then why do you have TeamViewer on your laptop?
But I said it was I use it to get into my home computer. I travel around all the time, and you could have you could download something that sits on your computer for a long time. I said that, it's completely untrue that I would use TeamViewer to do anything untold like in the game, and I stick with that too.
Okay. And I guess when you're talking about Zamani and you say, like, if somebody's a losing player, obviously you're not just going to continue to invest in them. So if you can see that Lauren is also a losing player, what's the incentive to continue to invest in her?
Well, I never actually invested in her. That's the thing. It was all she was playing in these games. I never had any action of any games that she ever played, actually. So
But she owes
I
you
didn't
2.2
invest
million.
in her. It was at the time when I met Lauren, she was playing in $1 million private cash games and losing a lot of money. And I saw her as a person who others were almost certainly taking advantage of her. I saw her poker game was, a much worse one than she saw it, and I wanted to help her out. So her playing in these tournaments on GG were much smaller than the stakes that she was playing at that time, and
but yet she
I was
lost
offering
2.2 million.
her coaching as a friend. She never paid me $1 to do any coaching. I never took $1. I never made or profited $1 from anything that she was involved in.
But she owes you money, and you never coached anybody.
I really liked Lauren at first, and it was me trying to help someone who I thought was a friend, who was very caring and giving, and yeah.
And she ended up owing you money for what reason?
Well, she
because
was
of
playing
the Sergey stuff?
No. She won a lot of money on the Sergey stuff. She might have won like somewhere in the $1 million to $1.3 million range from the action that she free rolled off of Sergey. So she lost $2.2 million on GG, of which she never paid. Then happened to win a bunch back on this action that I gave her, and she didn't pay her remaining balance from the losses that she had.
So her balance on GG is not her balance, it's on your balance.
Yeah, I would loan, she borrowed money from me to play. So all of those losses that people document, she really didn't lose anything because she didn't pay that money.
Okay. Okay. And
But he just said that that he didn't stake her anything. The guy's a liar, man. There's no other way to fucking process it other than he's a liar. How is it both at the same time? At the same time, at the same time, at the same time. So she lost 2.2 but got back 1.5, so she only owes 700,000 apparently.
you will categorically confirm or deny playing on Lauren Roberts' account.
Yes, deny.
You definitely did not ever do that.
No.
Okay.
That was weird. He said yes.
Just
I deny it. That's fucking
chat.
weird.
The losses that she had.
That's weird. All he had
So
to do was
her
say no.
balance on GG is not her balance, it's on your balance.
Yeah, I would loan, she borrowed money from me to play. So
I thought he didn't
all of
stake
those
her.
losses that people document, she really didn't lose anything because she didn't pay
I
that money.
thought you didn't stake her.
Okay.
Sound like you staked her.
Okay. And you will categorically confirm or deny playing on Lauren Roberts' account.
Yes, deny.
You definitely did not ever do that.
No.
Okay. Let's just go into.
So everyone's
the
lying
chat
but
and
him.
See if there's anything else super important that must get done. My mouse is like messing up. Okay, there's some questions from Twitch. Okay.
Look at the cup he's drinking out of.
People want to know.
What the fuck?
I feel like I feel like this is something I probably need to. Did you send other people to this shaman person?
Yeah, I myself saw her, and some of my friends partook on ceremonies that I personally had in Hawaii and Costa Rica.
Okay. Yeah, people, man, the Lauren stuff. Okay. So I guess people are really wanting to know why you stayed partnered in this situation with Lauren for so long when it's obvious that you were owed money and that she probably wasn't going to pay.
Well, you know, she was living in a very expensive house. She was gambling millions of dollars when we met, and always claimed to me having a bunch of money. And you know, someone that was acting as if they were my best friend. I guess I was a bit naive
Oh my god, dude.
and let it roll longer than I should have.
Okay. I guess there's questions also about the relationship with Gigi and were you getting rake back, or in what way were you incentivized if you were not necessarily an ambassador anymore?
I don't really see that as merit to answer. That's like personal business that I have with someone, and
Of course it
yeah,
is.
I don't feel like there's any reason to answer that.
Okay. Yeah, do you have other things that you want to share or get out there? Other things you think people are
Mm,
misunderstanding about the situation?
no, I mean, it seems to me, everything important to me to discuss has been talked about so far.
And I think it makes sense. You mentioned other people from your stable and people who can sort of vouch for you or vouch for the way things are, the way things ran. I don't know if it might make sense at some point to get some of these people talking, supporting.
Do you want to set up like a hour interview and we can rotate people in and out for 5 to 10 minutes and talk?
Just do like a chat
I would, yeah,
roulette.
I would love to do that actually. I would love to present you with all the people that I've done any business with in the past, years on GG, and let them give from their own mouth the experience that they had with me. And if there was that I ever asked them to do anything wrong at any point, I would love to do that.
All right.
And so, and
And
some of it, Martin chose very wisely, because he chose not to mention multiple of the most reputable people in the poker industry that I've done business with, that clearly have been involved in no type of cheating. And he tried his best to make me look as bad as he possibly could. So I would love to round up the team and the X team, and let people hear it for themselves from these people and see what they believe.
and I think, well, I think this is a uncomfortable spot anyways, but um someone asked me, is there any bad blood between you and Doug at all, or
Oh,
is that just
Doug clearly did this like out to get me. He did an interview, the way that he posted it in the title, how he did an interview with someone with zero evidence, who is completely uncredible and untrusted in the poker industry, was clearly just him trying to make an attack at me, or get some press, and he doesn't care how he's going to do it. So I think I would say he clearly goes against the moral code of journalism in his podcast that he does. And I have no bad feelings towards him, towards anyone really. I wish everyone the best. I hope that they can find happiness in their life. And if it makes them happy to put other people down, they'll probably realize one day like how bad that was actually for their life, and how much bad energy that just continued circulating around them for it. So he did what he did. I try to hold on to no bad feelings, no bad thoughts. Someone who just, I accept everything that happens and use it as a learning experience. I think that I've got a lot of learning experiences from this process and things that are going on right now. And I just stay to be grateful every day for my life, for the blessings that I have, and for continuing to stay in the light.
so? I'm basically scrolling through Twitter to find it, if there's, I mean, if there's any questions that I clearly missed. Who um I'm just trying to see what are the things. Is there anything super important that we're missing? In our DMs. Dude, and of course my mouse is just like messing up. It's so annoying. And then I think we can just wrap it up. I hope. Okay. Oh, I like this question actually. If you could go back, what, if anything, would you do differently?
Honestly, I think about that question a lot sometimes, and I'm really just so grateful for all the lessons that I've had and the understanding that I'm at this point in my life. And I think that, if you go back and you change something, it's a ripple effect, and it would have a different effect on how your life is right now. And I've seen just constant growth and positivity, and I feel like I have a very positive influence on so many people's lives, and I'm so happy the person that I am, and I accept all mistakes that I've ever made, and I look at it as a learning experience and something that just makes me stronger and more prepared for the future that's coming. So I'm thankful for everything, good and bad, and just grateful for life.
Well, this was like undoubtedly a weird, tough spot and like a tough subject matter, obviously, to tackle. And I did the best I could. I asked the questions that people asked me to ask. So if I missed something obvious or if everyone thinks like this is
And
a fluff
at
piece or
least,
whatever, I don't
no,
know.
no, that's what I was gonna say. No one could say, you started out saying that we have a good relationship, but then, you went at me through the thing. So if anyone wants to say that it's a fluff piece, that's nonsense.
I'm not sure. I asked the questions that I got with just a few exceptions, and so I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you wanting to do it.
She did a good job because she asked the questions and she let him talk. And through him talking, he contradicted himself several times. He contradicted himself several times. We'll get to the truth. We'll find out the truth. We're going to keep following this story. We're going to keep pushing this envelope. We're going to keep digging deeper and looking at other blogs. I'm watching everybody who's in the poker world who actually knows him and have heard things before prior to Martin. And look, if Martin was alone in accusing him, that'd be tough. It's already tough. But he's got Martin and Lauren, and he's saying that they scammed him. They're saying that he scammed them. We'll get to the truth eventually.
Live. I thought that was the best way to also answer the questions that people out there had, and so that we had the opportunity to ask all of the things. And um, if there's any like massive things that we missed, I'm happy to try to get to the bottom of it. But I tried to cover all of it and really tough subject matter. And I'm glad that you came on and came out and told your side of things and your experience of things. And if Lauren Roberts wants to come out also and jump on, or anyone else who wants to add to the conversation.
I want to hear from Paul Volpe. I'll interview Paul Volpe. I'll interview Lauren Roberts. I'll interview Martin Zamani. I'll interview whoever knows the truth and has the receipts to show everything. You know what I'm saying? I'll interview y'all, especially if you have the data from GG, because the thing is that we need an insider from GG to show how money was transferred and how money and stuff. And I don't know if they're willing to do that, but that would help a lot because we'd be able to find out if the $500,000 is true, if he really owes $500,000 or $350,000. If Martin gave him 65,000 straight up from the winning that he got, you know, he's saying he could break even from just taking the ambassadorships or whatever that he took from Martin. Is that true? Was that enough? The 100 people that he brought in, was that enough to garner um, money to pay his debt off? You know, Bryn is really, really focused on making sure people owe him money. Everyone owes him. The horses, Martin, Lauren. And with Lauren, he kept going back and forth. I didn't stake her, but I did. She was on a credit, but she was, and it's like, okay, 2.2, but then she owes me 700 because she made 1.5 off of Sergey. Okay, more to come. In my opinion, there's something fishy. I don't have concrete evidence where I can show you. Here's the paperwork that shows that this person sent this much money, or here's the cameras that show that he was actually in the room. And by the way, Bryn admitted to a lot of shit. The only part of Martin's story that he refutes is, I honestly don't know what he refutes. The nefarious extra stuff, I guess. He's Mr. Nice Guy helping people, and he refutes that there was bad intentions or whatever, but everyone owes him money and they're all losers. You catch that? You catch that? That shit is the part that has me like, damn, man, you really are on some like God complex, like you did nothing wrong type shit. And that just seems odd, you know? Or your only fault was you were too naive, you were too nice. Like what? It's not looking good, man. It's not looking good. He's not coming off as believable. I'm not saying everything that he's saying is straight bullshit because he admitted to a lot of shit, but somebody's lying, and Martin is easy enough to point him out as being the bad guy, right? But he came with everything he came with and didn't hold anything back and didn't pull any punches. Warren is also accusing him, so you got more than one accuser, and there's people implicated. Bonobo, Volpe. I want to talk to anybody who was involved. We don't have to do an hour. We could do 30 minutes, whatever you want to do. You want to clear your name. You want to say your side of the story. You want to get this off your chest because you love poker and you didn't know how bad things could get and you want to rectify some wrongs. We could do that too. No judgment on this thing. It's about getting to the truth. Understand that at any moment, at any time, you can rectify a wrong. You could rectify a wrong. You could always come clean and you could always try to make things right if you feel like you did something bad while people are still alive, while you're still alive, and while people you feel like you're wrong are still alive. You could do that. You want to come out and do that? We can do that. Whatever you want to do. But please don't come up on here and lie. Don't come up. If you're going to come up here and lie, then I don't want to talk to you. Straight up. You know what I mean? Straight up. If you're going to come up here and lie, I don't want to talk to you. But if you want to come up here, tell your side of the story, you feel like you can't get a fair shake, and people won't give you the time to really explain what happened, come over here and we'll talk about it. But don't bullshit me and don't waste my time. That's all I ask. Other than that, we're all good. I don't have any money. This is just to get the information out there so the people could decide on what's going down. This is poker. This is the poker community. And we want this business, this sport to excel and to get to the point where it gets approved on a massive scale. And we got to get the shady characters and the bullshitters out. This is about the best playing the best. This is about the most skilled players going to the furthest stakes, the highest stakes to maximize their income and to make sure that they could provide for their families. That's what this is about. All that extra scammy shit, save that shit for the Wolf of Wall Street and all that Ponzi scheme bullshit, save that shit for some other shit. This is not what this is about. This is about, believe it or not, honesty in poker. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of characters who make the sport look bad. If you love poker, this is your chance to make right any wrongs you may have done. All right?
Or share their experience. I think the more transparency and the more conversation, the better. I hope. Thank you, Bryn.
Thank you, Sarah.
Another Tuesday at the office.
We were on for a while.
Enjoy your life.
Same to you.
Deuces.
We were on for a while. Yeah, we were on for a while. So we're gonna end it right there. And see what we can, what we can do. Somebody got scammed, and if she owes, then that means did they pay you and you didn't pay them? He said he was making 2 million a week on that shit. Is that true? What Martin was saying. We'll get to the bottom of everything. We'll get to the bottom of everything. This is this part for now. We find out more. We're gonna come out and put out more information on this thing. Cause look, I like poker. I love poker. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad to see, bullshit like this go on. Martin was stuck and he was in a situation that he was trying to get himself out of, and this situation presented itself, and it sounded like it turned into something that he didn't expect. I wouldn't expect that from this dude. But once you get close to somebody, you hang out with somebody, you find out who they really are. So in my opinion, there's some there's some strange things happening. You know what I mean? Yeah, be nice to Sarah. She's doing her best. I agree. That's from Joe Ingram. I think she did a great job. You guys are not paying attention. She did a great job of asking a question and letting him talk. And through that is why I have a lot of doubts on what he's saying. In my opinion, it's very fishy, the shit that he's talking about. And he admitted to a lot of things that Martin said. He corroborated a lot of stuff Martin said. So how is it? I'm gonna end with this. How is it that he confirmed every single thing that Martin said, but the one thing he doesn't confirm is the shady shit that went down? He confirmed everything else. He confirmed everything else. And then he said, "Oh, I didn't give her any money, but she owes me money." I'm out, y'all.